Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday, July the 26th, 2018. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. We've got yet another lazy summer week of news, but we'll make it happen. We'll make it entertaining. You know, bare minimum, somebody could scream until they're hoarse. It's always a possibility. You never know what could happen. We can always...
It'll likely be me.
We can always... I don't know, I avoided one specific topic this week, specifically so that I wouldn't throw myself off a cliff. We avoided that one like the plague, but you never know. Maybe something will get me going. Gentlemen, how are we doing this week? Mr. Black, how you doing?
I'm very busy. Very, 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 very busy. The last 2 days, I have been in nothing but meetings, on meetings, on meetings, and more meetings. It's almost like I've had more meetings in the last 2 days than I have in the last 3 years, which is impressive because there have been times where I've had quite a few meetings in the run of a little while. So
yes, absolutely.
You know, it's been crazy. I got an offer accepted. My offer accepted on another triplex. So that's exciting. Won't talk too much about it, but anyway, I had to find some insurance for that because the banks and lawyer and all that fun stuff need proof of insurance that you're going to be getting before they'll sign the financing over and stuff. So anyway, I get a quote. So when I first got the property layout sheet, it tells you sort of the estimated expenses. So it goes by sort of what the other previous owner was paying. And this place is brand new. It was built this year. It's still got a 5-year manufacturer's warranty on it. The girl needs to sell. She overextended herself. So I'm getting a really awesome deal on this property. I'll find out how awesome it is tomorrow when I get the appraisal done. Or I get that back. But either way, she said she was only paying about $1,000 a year for the insurance. So I was like, okay. So I went to my insurance company and I said, hey, you know, how much is it going to insure this property? And the lowest they went was $3,300. So I was like,
I was going to say $1,000 for a triplex sounds really low.
Well, it did sound low, but I was like, okay, that's ridiculous, considering that I was expecting, because I budget out everything. Like I crunch all the numbers to make sure that, you know, I'm cash flowing a certain amount, that the investment makes enough money. You know, I have to put like over 6 figures down on this property. So like if I'm going to dump this kind of money in one spot, this money better work for me, or I better find, you know, my capital a better place to put it. So when I added in those numbers, I was barely cash flowing, and I was like cash flowing like $180 a month, which was just, you know, is not worth for that kind of money that I'm putting in. No. All my other properties are getting at least $350 a month just in cash flow. So, you know, if this is gonna be my biggest purchase yet, I better be doing better numbers. So I ended up calling like 3 insurance places. The lowest one that I end up finding one at the towards the beginning of the day was $2,400. So I was like, okay, this is starting to sound a little bit better. But then I went to another place. So this is a funny little story. So I go, okay, since my insurance was since they quoted me so high, I was like, all right, I wonder how much they're fucking me on all of my other stuff, right?
Yeah,
I've got
of course.
5 vehicles. I've got, you know, 4 properties. This is going to be my 6th or 5, I guess 5 units. You know, I wonder how bad they're fucking me here. So I go to this other place and I get all these quotes, right? So they end up quoting me for this triplex a little over $1,000. So I'm like, perfect, right? And I asked the girl who she was dealing with. I don't want to give too much information, but I asked her what bank or what insurance company she was dealing with, and she gave her realtor told my realtor, which told me, so I called them, and lo and behold, she wasn't lying, because at first I thought she was lying about how much she was paying. So these guys were like, yes, okay, it's going to be a little over $1,000, like $1,024. And then I go, okay, this is amazing. And all the same coverage, like all the, $2 million liability, like flood coverage, roof, you name it, fucking top to bottom, fire, theft, vandalism, you name it. It's all there. Everything is there. And so I'm like, okay, well, why don't you do a quote for my principal residence, my other properties, and all my vehicles. So I'm on the phone with this guy, and this dude was super nice. He was easy. He could speak English. Everything was great.
The important part, he can speak English.
So I'm on there for literally 2 hours. I took a screenshot of it. It was like 2 hours and 18 minutes with this guy. And we go through every single property, right? And I go, okay, so what I'm going to do now, make sure you save all this. Put a note, and he's like, don't worry, we can guarantee you this for 45 days. You can go back to your insurance company right now, see if they'll match it or do better. If not, we'll gladly take your business. So I'm like, fantastic. So anyway, I call my insurance company. Nobody's answering the phone, and this insurance company's a pain in the ass. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to go down to the branch. So I drive down to the branch. I get down. I sit down with this lovely older lady. And I said, ma'am, I just want to go through all of my properties, my vehicles, and I want to see what my premiums are here. I want to see what I'm paying, because I've just been with this company for years. I'd get a new car. I'd say, hey, I'm going to add this car. They tell me how much it is. It didn't seem outrageous. So I was like, okay, that's just the way it goes. Like, I didn't shop around much. And usually I'm very frugal and like all about crunching numbers and trying to get the cheapest things when it comes to shit like this. And for the first time, I just didn't do it with my insurance for some reason. I just assumed everything was good. Well, it wasn't. So I get all of the insurance. I get all of the insurance rates. Okay. And I have them right here on my phone. And so I'm like, okay, how much am I paying? All right. So this new place that I'm now with, right? This new place was giving me these amazing rates. So long story short, so I'm not talking about this for fucking 20 minutes. I'm saving. So when I found out before this triplex, so before I buy this triplex, I'm saving $2,300 a year. $2,300 a year before this triplex. When I get the triplex, it'll be even more. If I would have, I wouldn't have done the deal anyway if I had to pay the price. 23. So I did the math. It was like, my premiums kind of went up over time and stuff because, just the way she goes sometimes. But I say I would have saved out on nearly $7,000 if I would have shopped around 5 years ago and I got these type of rates. Now, what helped me is when I called back to this other place, I said, I'm about, and I use this as leverage. So I was like, I'm about to transfer my entire portfolio over here, like everything. We're not talking one house and a car. I'm taking everything in the kitchen sink over here. Is there anything that you can do for me for giving you my business? He's like, well, by government law, we can't give any special discounts. I mean, this is just the way it is. We're the most competitive in the country in terms of insurance rates. But what we can do is we can look at your stuff, like your credit history. Now, this company that I had before, I already had my bike insurance with them, my motorcycle. It was the only insurance that I didn't get through this other place. So he said, back when you got your bike back in 2014, your credit score was average. Obviously now you have excellent credit score. And so that doesn't necessarily help you with your cars, but it helps you with your home. Typically people that have higher credit have higher standards of living and treat their properties with a little bit more respect and things like that. He was just going through all this sort of things. Like typically lower income people typically have lesser bad credit or not as good credit because they're struggling. They're living paycheck to paycheck or they're financially making mistakes. I've been there myself, so I totally get it. And when I had bad credit, I was definitely not living as nicely as I am today. So it definitely makes sense. So anyway, we go through all this stuff and he goes, so what I can do is, for your home, we quoted you at $1,200. We're going to chuck that down to $1,020 something. And also, your wife, she got a college equivalent credit. So we can also, since she's on your policy, we can also knock down because of the company she works with, she has a deal with this specific company, and so there's an actual discount on that. When it was all said and done, everything was dropped another like 11% from the first phone call that I had. And the best part about all of it, the best part about every single one of it, right? So I'm on the phone and he goes, so Mr. Johnston, what do you do for a living? I'm like, yeah, it's going to sound weird, man, but I play video games and I do real estate, right? I have a real estate company. I buy rental properties and stuff. And he goes, holy fucking shit, are you MaximusBlack? I was like, yes. He's like, my God, man, I love your Botchy playthroughs. He's like, I watched all your and then we were talking about that. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, you know what else?
No.
He's like, you know what else I can do for you? And then it just starts, the list just keep on going, right? Now he's finding other things that, he's like,
no.
He starts asking me about like, when was the last time you done this? When was the last time you done that? Do you have a security system in your home? And is it properly set up? And blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, that's going to save you an extra $18. That's good to know. And we just started going through shit after shit after shit, right? And it was amazing. And then he said, on top of that, sir, when you bring everything over, you're gonna go down about another 20% from all of this, from packaging it all in one umbrella. So I'm like, I just fucking won the lottery today. So when it's all said and done, it's well over $2,000. It's almost between $2,300 and $2,500. And all my premiums for my last insurance company was supposed to go up in September. So I dodged the bullet. I got awesome insurance. I saved some money today. I was on the phone all day with insurance company, but it was a great experience. And shout outs to the guy that or several guys that hooked up. First dude was amazing. The second guy knew who I was. And then the third guy, when I called to actually set everything up, because I canceled all my other stuff and I set up the new shit today. The third guy was finding shit for me to save. I'm like, whoa, what is going on? What's up with this customer service? So that was my day. So yeah, it was great.
You know what that was, Jeff?
What was that?
It's your black privilege.
Yes.
Obviously. It was your black privilege.
Yes.
Bringing you all those discounts.
Dude, it was crazy.
Us white guys couldn't go in there and get a good deal at the insurance company.
Dude.
Panic, you're muted, by the way. On Discord, you're muted.
Oh, I can't hear you, Panic.
Yeah, Panic's there you go.
I've been muted this entire time. Beautiful.
Yeah, welcome back.
Yeah, Jeff, you want to know where all of your savings money came from?
Where's that?
Because I too spent a lot of time on the phone with my mortgage company and insurance companies. And I got charged $2,500 for insurance. Notably, my flood insurance for my 10th story apartment.
Rip.
Are they expecting the second coming of Christ to also include a second flood?
Well, apparently, like, my mortgage company never sent me the notice saying, hey, you need to give us proof of insurance. And they usually do, but I didn't see it. They didn't send it, so I assumed they had it, which was my mistake. So they're just like, we don't have proof of coverage. We're going to get you a flood insurance policy. And they're like, it's $2,500. So,
Rip.
like, I'm just like, my building's got like this ginormous flood policy after Hurricane Sandy. We got dinged for like 16 million in damage after the hurricane.
Ugh.
So the building's like, you know what? We're just going to up our coverage. And they went for like a $25 million policy.
Holy Jesus.
So like, I'm just like, I have coverage. Like, oh yeah. They're like, oh yeah. And since you've been at a deficit for like 4 months, we're going to jack your mortgage payment up by like $900 a month. And I'm just like,
oh my.
I'd be like, no.
I was just like, time out.
Yeah, no.
I have proof. I'm going to send it to you and you're going to fucking fix this.
What the fuck?
Yeah. No, it was pretty crazy, you know. And on top of that, I paid my motorcycle coverage like up front, like just give them my credit card and it pays for the year. And since I brought all my stuff over, I automatically save on that coverage. So now they're like sending me a check from like the last 4 years from the difference of like what I'd be saving, which is like, I'm just like, this is crazy. Like, I don't know why.
I need you to tell me what fucking company this is, because obviously I'm at the wrong place.
Dude,
not
man,
that I have a lot of insurance. I mean, it's like tenant insurance in my car. It's not exactly a
my
long
homeowner's
list.
insurance is like $500 a year for this
But
place. Yeah, just like
apparently-
triplex insurance for half.
Like the more shit you have, like the cheaper it gets. You know?
Yeah,
what I
no,
mean?
they do
Like,
the
so
umbrella
if you
stuff.
Of course.
pile- they-
Yeah.
The more you're piling on, right? You know, you got like 5 cars and a bunch of houses. They just
So-
start like chunking it down.
So
And
like, my parents and myself, since we live in the same geographic region, we actually work with our insurance company, and we have all of them under like a master umbrella that has as creditors me and my dad and my mom. So we have like 3 people with like ridiculous credit, and they just umbrellaed all of our property.
Oh,
So
that's
like
awesome.
my dad worked out the deal with them, and we went back and forth. And had we gotten the flood insurance through my guys, I would have paid like maybe $1,000 a year. But you know, if I needed to get it, so it was just like ridiculously discounted. It's like I think we're saving like 40% because
Damn.
everything is umbrellaed.
Yeah, that's just how I guess this is how it works. Like I wasn't getting that treatment at the other place. They were just bending me over, and raw dog fucking me.
Dude, they were,
whenever I
which is
added a
fucked
vehicle
up because
or a
you had all that shit with them.
Yep.
And they're going in on like long term.
No, because what they do is when people buy, they'll usually start with like one policy on one small thing, and then over time they'll just be like, "Oh, I already have insurance," and you'll just call them up, like Jeff said, and you'll be like, "I just got this thing. Can we just add it on?"
That's what I was doing. Yeah.
And that's what ended up happening was my parents had a different provider forever, and when I got a place, I didn't realize that I could go on with my parents, so I found a different place, and I got my insurance through them, and then my dad. When he was like looking at my insurance policy, he's like, "There's no way this can be good coverage. It's so cheap." And then when he saw how much I was paying, he realized for like the past 10 years he's been getting ripped off by the insurance companies.
Yep.
So then
apparently it's pretty normal that the insurance companies will
you
just
get complacent.
Yeah, it's so anyway, that was my bad all those years, but I'm happy that I figured it out and it all worked out for the good. So that was the bulk of my day. And also Kayla's Honda, her passenger side front window, the motor died in it, and so I had to take her car down to Honda. Yeah, I had to take her car down to Honda, and I was like, because this actually happened when I was in Las Vegas there a couple weeks ago, and she called Honda, and Honda was like, "Yeah, you know, your warranty just went up," and I'm thinking to myself, "The fuck? I just bought the car." At the end of 2000, literally, it was almost 2016. It was in December 2015. I bought it brand new, and the car doesn't even have 50,000 kilometers on it. Yeah, it doesn't have 50K on it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So I call them, I take the car down, and then they call today, and they're like, yeah, your motor's gone, and some belt that runs with the motor is toast as well, and it's covered under warranty. So. You know, I don't know what they were telling her, but anyway, so it was just good news.
You know what it was? A woman called and they fucking ran with it.
Yep.
They automatically assume that the woman's not going to know what's going on and that they would just defer to whatever the hell they're being told on the phone, get fucked, and then they take all of your shit. They just run to the bank and take that shit. All this insurance talk, the one thing I got to remember to do is I've got to get myself some health insurance before I turn 30. So I've got to like put the pressure on myself when I get back after this little mini vacation I'm about to take and get back and
Where
start.
are you going?
To the family homestead for a few days and go and whale watching with the family. Yeah. So I meant to do it last year and that didn't happen. Now I'm on the fucking crunch because I've only got a couple of months left. So I got to get myself some fucking health insurance. Start looking around for that.
You just turn to dust when you turn to 30, dude.
I'm already there.
That's the good thing about Kayla's job is I get put on her union plan, right? So I don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have that luxury. I'm going to have to start forking out what's probably going to be like, I don't know, $180 a month or something like that in total.
Yeah.
To get that shit. But
it's worth.
Yeah. I've gone this long without it, but I should probably get it.
Well, the older you get, and I'm learning this firsthand, your body starts to shut down, and things that used to not hurt, and foods that you used to be able to eat, you can't eat, and things in sports you used to be able to do, you can't really do as much, or without pain. So, yeah.
I started a diet for my weight loss journey. It's been going really well. My pants are quite a bit looser. I've also realized that I can't rapidly just change what I'm eating diet-wise because my body is like what the fuck is a
Oh,
salad?
it hates you. Oh yeah.
It's like, what the fuck is a salad, and why are you doing this?
Yep.
Yes. Give me
Then, like-
carbs and sugar now.
And it's like there's noises and sounds and grumbles and groans and I'm like, what is going on?
That's your body
just had
trying
a
to
salad.
figure out what to do with fiber. It's like,
I
what
just
is
had
all
a
this
salad.
fiber? What's happening, right? I had a very similar, although I eat, I'm going to say like a 50-50 split between dog shit and healthy. And so when I do it, I do get, like, my body does definitely fuck with me a bit, and it's a little pissed off, and it does the, you know, what are you doing thing. But just recently after the move was done, and I had eaten basically Tim Hortons the entire time we were doing the move, and I haven't gone back to Tim Hortons yet because I can't I don't even want to smell it. So
That's what I had today, actually.
I couldn't do it if I wanted to. So I was the first thing that my body started craving was I just wanted vegetables. And fruit. It didn't matter. It didn't even want protein. It just wanted to eat vegetables and fruit. And so I went to Costco and I bought like you know, the vegetable, you know, pack,
like
the tray thing and whatnot, and some fruit.
Some
And
ranch dressing.
I just started crushing raw vegetables and going from 0 raw vegetables to like a fucking bowl of raw vegetables every single fucking day, and my body was like, bro, what in the fuck do you think this is? Excuse me, you've been eating like what is supposed to be chicken wraps for the last 2.5, 3 weeks, and now you're
And I'm pretty sure
put
that's
this
not
shit.
chicken either.
No, exactly. It's chicken in quotation marks. And so, yeah, my intestines were like,
I was just like, I used to get meat sweats. I haven't gotten them in forever, and I
was
woke
getting
up last
vegetable
night.
sweats.
Yeah, and then my body was just like, what is going on?
Oh, the cauliflower.
Go to the bathroom. Go now. And I'm like, I just had a salad. This is a safe food.
Can't have any more blueberries. Fuck.
Yeah, I know. I just can't do it anymore. Yeah, so that's
yeah, for those that are wondering, the healthcare in Canada is free, even though it's really not free. It's for the extra stuff. So like,
it's
if you need a
subsidized,
prescription, if you need a prescription, or it's mainly for prescription drugs, or if any you know,
It's the supplemental stuff beyond like critical care and all that other stuff.
exactly, yeah. But I mean, if you know, you break your arm or something, they're not going to be like, do you have medical insurance? No, you just go in there, you show your health card, and they're going to fix you up.
Yeah, exactly. No, the things for me would be like, it'll be dental, and any of those extraneous, like specialists, like physiotherapists and all
glasses, all that
glasses,
shit.
Dental, or I already said dental, but yeah, glasses and stuff like that. All that extra stuff outside of, did you get hit by a bus today?
Yeah.
And you get covered. And normally if you work for a company, that's just included, kind of like in the States, except not as broad because it doesn't have to be. But since self-employed, you just have to eat that expense.
Unless you opened up your own corp and then you did your own medical plan that your company. There's ways around that.
Or
you
you
can
do
do
like you can agenda type thing, like a guild setup for insurance.
Yeah, the easiest way is to just get medical insurance from an
exactly.
actual,
Exactly.
company. Pay your $150 a month and call
just
it a day.
fucking walk away.
No. What people will do now is like there's like a freelancers guild and other guilds of like self-employed people. They'll go in and then they negotiate with the insurance company as a group. So what'll happen is instead of paying say $200 a month, each member of the group, since they're a larger risk pool, will pay like $150 or $140 a month. So it like brings the premiums down as a group. So it's kind of like working for a big company.
That's weird. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I bet you the people listening at home right now are like, guys, shut the fuck.
We are adults. This is what adults talk about.
What are we talking about
20
now?
minutes in, we've talked about insurance and getting old.
Insurance and healthcare and old and bodies.
I turned 32 on Tuesday, all right, man?
This is true. You did.
I'm older.
Happy belated birthday.
I've got the 3-0 coming in October, so
you do.
Bunch of old men up in this bitch.
And I'm turning 32. Well, I still got like
your third annual 29th birthday. Sorry,
you get to there you go. You get to come all the way full circle to January before your ass is.
I know.
Is back.
You're going to be
into it.
joining the 30 club soon enough. Soon enough. And it hits you like a ton of bricks too. You're like, fuck. I'm fucking 30. I'm going on my way to 40. What am I doing with my life? What the fuck?
Dude, I had that thought at 24, and now it's hitting me a second time at 30. I'm having like a second midlife crisis, and I haven't even hit midlife yet.
No, you had a quarter life crisis. Now it's
yeah.
going to be like a midlife crisis.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna buy like a secondhand
you were
Mazda
90.
Miata. I'm gonna join the club down at the Chicken Burger and just start gradually balding and talking about how good Mazda's made this car for so long.
Get one of those Miatas.
Someone's got to make a
Join
Photoshop
the
of
club.
Adam being bald in a Miata. Make it happen.
I'd pay to see that.
Oh
Just you
shit!
sitting in a Miata would make my day.
That's like the two cars though are a and here in Nova Scotia anyway. The midlife crisis cars here are a Mazda Miata or you get a Porsche Boxster, and that's the two midlife crisis cars.
Yep.
I think the
And
Porsche
everybody
Boxster
that
is
drives
like,
one are like all the same people.
Yes,
right. It's no one
absolutely.
black.
No.
It's like 45-year-old
Yes.
male that is just very confused about what's going on in his life right now, and it's just funny. It's funny.
Oh fucking A. It is pretty good. But I always laugh when I see the Boxster because I think the Boxster is ubiquitous. I think that shit's everywhere in North America, States, Canada. It's the Boxster. Everyone hits that age, and that's the deal. But here we've got that stupid Miata club. On the plus side, before we actually talk about video games, what's known as the MX-5 now, not the Miata. This year's model
It
actually looks
nice.
like a good car.
It actually looks nice.
It's always been an aggravatingly really fucking good vehicle, but it's always been such a bitch looking. It looked like a woman's car.
Miata's a fun car. Have you ever actually driven one?
No,
but
I
it's
just a fun car to drive. Like I'm not talking
perfect. It's the perfect road car. Like
just go and have fun.
It has nailed it. It is one of the highest rated cars like of all fucking time. But it just always looked like some shit that a stay-at-home mom that had a nanny would drive. I was just really fucking.
You're not wrong.
Just really weird. But now it doesn't. Now it looks more like it's pushing like a 1 Series BMW coupe kind of deal. But I actually think it looks better if I'm going to be honest. Anyway, video games.
What are
Gentlemen,
those?
you play them with your hands, and they give you seizures, and you get addicted, and you kill people after you play them. Yep.
Cool.
Yep. No Man's Sky Next actually hit. We talked about it last week coming. It hit. Panic has, I believe, actually played it. I haven't got a chance to yet because I was trying to blitz Octopath Traveler. I did 3 back-to-back, like 12-hour streams. I'm still not fucking done. That game just keeps going and going and going. But
In a good or bad way?
Both.
Okay.
So No Man's Sky Next hits, and other than a couple of hiccups that they had, for one, Steam held up the launch for like 9 hours longer than they were supposed to. But that happens all the time with Steam. People were blowing up Twitter and everything like it was Hello Games holding on to the game like they didn't want their own game out, but it was just Steam's cert process holding the shit up. Eventually goes live. Good Old Games version unfortunately doesn't have the multiplayer yet. That was
they did it through Steamworks, so that was probably the main reason why.
Yeah, so that was a bit of a hold up. And then other than that, just the general bugs that you would expect when a patch comes out and literally rewrites basically the entire fucking video game. But they've already have hot fixes out and experimental patches if you want to sign up for it on Steam. And there's a patch in the cert process for PlayStation and Xbox. But it's the big story here is that it's gone over extraordinarily well. There are still obviously a lot of people that refuse to give them any quarter, but it's doing well enough that against all odds, after 2 years, we're mixed review. Yeah, that was one of the funniest fucking tweets I've ever seen in my life. Sean from Hello Games tweets out, "We're mixed now, boys," and he has a screenshot on Steam of the reviews being mixed instead of negative, and I laughed out fucking loud. It was so good.
That stemmed from apparently someone pointing out to Sean a Reddit thread where someone was like, "I guarantee you, Sean Murray is running around the office yelling mixed reviews, mixed reviews," like cheering.
I wouldn't blame him either. Shit, dude. There was like, how many reviews did they have? Like 80,000? And it just got bombed.
Well, they shit the bed pretty hard, right?
Oh my god.
People went in on them.
They switched their diet over to salad, and that's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, exactly. It's what happens. But yeah, so it's doing extraordinarily well. I'm kind of happy I didn't get in on it yet because By the time I do get a chance to get in on it, they'll probably have like 2 different or 3 different rounds of patches, and then I'll get like the better version of whatever happens.
So I can talk a bit about cause I played about I think 8 hours or so far.
Okay, hit us up with your experience.
If you're gonna reload an old save, you're not gonna be happy. Because they do some things that design-wise I understand why they did it, but it still kind of sucks. Like I lost my main base. They didn't really tell you how you can recover it, even though there were apparently ways to do it.
They did. It just wasn't a very elaborate explanation. Which was
exactly.
stupid.
It was just like so. Not a huge deal. You kept most of the stuff, but what they ended up doing was most of the old upgrades and tech and stuff got obsolete. But they gave you a way to like reclaim the money and stuff you kind of invested. So not a huge deal. But if you start a fresh game, it plays almost like a completely newer game than the original. Everything's got like 2 or 3 more layers of stuff going on. Like even though it's still kind of shallow, it's a lot more going on. Like the materials are a lot more complicated. There's more things you can do with them. You can refine them, upgrade and go through different levels, and the crafting system is more complex. Blueprints, how you acquire them, it's a lot more fleshed out. The big thing was, and I was surprised, was there weren't as many bugs as I thought there would be. Like the normal stuff played through just fine. Like me running around, all that stuff worked just fine. The multiplayer, it's not like I didn't really see you being able to like run into people kind of randomly. We tried out a couple of things with me and a couple of friends trying to like log in and see, us both being kind of in the same place. We didn't see each other, but if you go to co-op and you just like go right click on someone on Steam and you click join game or whatever, it syncs up real quickly and you can all play together. Running around on planets, getting in ships, getting in vehicles, moving around, all that stuff works really well. It's fun. You can like explore, you can go off really far in different directions, and it just works fine. It breaks down a little bit when you get into the more complex stuff like around the base building, and we ran into some weird sync issues of the base not necessarily updating for everyone all the time, or someone wouldn't be able to use something that if I built it and vice versa, so like weird sync issues. But that only happened on like when you're a couple of layers deep in the gameplay. But if you're just looking to like run around with friends for now, and like have fun, get into combat and do all this stuff, it's working really well. I was actually pleasantly surprised.
I today actually I looked to reinstall it because I was planning to play tomorrow, and I forgot that I got my refund for the money, or for the money, so I have to go and rebuy it.
But if you do it today, I think it's still
like 30.
50,
yeah, it's like $33 right now.
It's 50% off, I think, but that ends today.
31st.
Yeah, it's that whole midweek.
31st.
Oh, is
it? That midweek madness stuff. Oh, they extended it?
Yeah, it says
nice.
I was just on Steam before we came here. Before I came on, let me double check here.
Because I thought they said it was done today or into tomorrow. They were done the 50%.
No Man's Sky offer ends July 30th.
Oh, okay. So
you
it's
got
a couple more days then.
Yeah. I'll buy it tonight and get it installed and play tomorrow.
The other really cool thing, it still takes forever to load that first time, but after that it's fine. The ships and a lot of the stuff got some pretty cool graphics upgrades. Like the ships have animated bits now, and they have like decals, and they look a lot more textured. Weathered down in some places, broken. All that stuff. Like everything's
pretty substantial.
Everything's crisper. Like the terrains look better. I was surprised.
The terrain has tessellation now, which is pretty massive, and a lot more variation in the terrain.
And no impact on performance, at least from what I was playing.
Yeah,
I was knocking out 100 FPS because I capped myself at 100.
There's underwater caves now.
Yep.
You can
actually
ships.
see yourself and customize yourself.
Yeah, so it's all third person.
Cool.
You can fly ships through caves now. There's no like real.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way when I slammed into the planet because I was all tabbed while I was flying, and I was like going for a waypoint, so my ship was going straight down. It didn't.
You can actually hit. You can actually hit things.
You can hit things and you can take damage, but you don't take a lot of damage.
Yeah,
like I literally was doing a nosedive and I wasn't clicked into the game, and I'm like, oh, let me go to move, and it's like before I realized I wasn't clicked, and I smashed into the ground, and like I bounced. I took a decent chunk of damage, but I was fine. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, because before
you were like floating.
Yeah, but that stopped or was heavily reduced at least 1 or 2 patches ago.
Okay.
But this was the big thing. The Sentinels and the way they get more dangerous and like the whole warning level system, they're a lot more dangerous now. I ended up trying to flee from like the system patrol ships because I was fighting sentinels on the planet. I killed a bunch of them, and I'm like, usually back in the day, I'd be like, all right, hop in my ship and just fly up and lose my warning level.
Yeah,
I get up into space, and then the system patrol ships are like, oh, fuck no, we're coming after you. And like, I took out one of them, and I'm like, all right, I'm good. I can just run and no, two more showed up. I'm like, oh shit, the fuzz is here.
Oh,
I'm like, I can't
fuck.
fight both of them at once yet because my upgrades just weren't there yet. And I was just like, okay. And they chased me. And then I'm like, all right, you know what I used to do when the system patrol is chasing me? I fly into the atmosphere. They don't come after me. I go down and start diving into the atmosphere. No, the fuckers are coming after me still. I'm like, oh shit. I had to get one of my buddies who was playing with me. I'm like, can you help me kill them? I'm like 3 minutes out, but I can't pull. So it took him like 30 seconds to get there. But
they've upgraded.
Yeah, and the walkers come out a lot more often. You can actually fight the walkers and the other sentinels from your ship. Like, one of my buddies pissed them off too much, and the giant walkers showed up, and none of our weapons were good enough to fight the walkers. So I'm like, I'm coming in. I came in with my ship, and I started fighting the walkers with my ship weapons.
That's pretty awesome, though.
Yeah, it was working out.
That's pretty
well.
dope. That's pretty dope.
Yeah, I'll try it out. We'll see what happens with it.
There's still some dopiness with it, but it's fun.
Yeah, of course. That was like the first thing when I looked at the patch notes, because it was forever before they posted them, and then when they put it up, and it's like 10 pages long. It's this monstrous document. It's not even. I don't even want to call it patch notes, because it's basically they just re-released the entire fucking
game.
game.
Manifesto.
Yeah, it's insane. So when I saw
the patch notes for the last 2 or 3 patches, those were huge.
Yeah,
and I
but
thought that was big. This was like 2 or 3 times that.
This is enormous now. So I'm not surprised that there's some. That was my first thought was, oh, something's gonna be fucked. Something's gonna get absolutely fucked. But yeah, it's doing very well, so that's always nice to see. And I'm following a Twitter account now. It's called like No Man's Sky pictures or some shit like that, and people send their pictures into this guy, and he retweets the best of them. And there is some legitimately fucking incredible in-game screenshots coming out of No Man's Sky. I mean, they're already good, but there's just 1980s sci-fi movie poster after 1980s sci-fi movie poster coming out of these.
Yeah, they have the filter mode when you do the screenshots.
Yeah, it's really, really, really cool. So yeah, so that's happening. What else we got here? Oh, another patch-y type thing, I guess, if I'm going to roll into something that's kind of relevant. Realm Royale is officially coming to the Xbox and PlayStation 4. The closed beta is dropping next week. So all the people that had been spamming them when PS4, when Xbox on every single patch now have an actual date for it. They need it too, because their concurrent player numbers have been
It's going down.
Not great. When I last took a look, because I wanted to see what the tournament did for their numbers. Like I wanted to see, because normally when a game like that does a esports tournament invitational thing or whatever, people get hyped. They want to play the game, right? They watch people that are good at the game. They get hyped. They want to play the game. So I hopped in and I was like, I wonder what what the spike is like for Realm. I hopped over and it was 0. It did not move the needle at all. It did not move an inch. It's up slightly, but for the first time, it dropped below 10,000 average hourly yesterday. And now it's hovering. So its new stable is somewhere around 10,000 players. And the graph has just been doing the old angle.
We'll see what happens when it hits consoles. That'll be the big test. They're doing these weekly tournaments, and the production value is amazing.
Yep.
The problem is they're using the same players. Like
over and over again.
Even I like tweeted out to them. I'm like, "Yo, when can I get into a tournament?" You know, when the game first came out, I even until just like a week ago, because all this shit's been going on. And I've been busy. I've been playing the game faithfully every day, all day, over 200 plus hours on Steam, Masters level. I'm like, yo, like, when can I play? Please.
I'm not John Cena. You can see me.
Yeah, and there's a ton of other people that are asking when can I play, but all they want to do is invite only. And some girl from Realm messaged me on Twitter, or will tweet it out and said, "Oh, thank you." It was like this super generic ass
Social
fucking
thing, yeah.
It was like, "Oh, I'm happy you're enjoying Realm Royale," with an exclamation point, and we'll be sure to add you on the the waiting list or some sort of list, in the interest list or something.
You don't have a friggin' list.
Hope to continue to see you in playing Realm Royale! Exclamation. It's like, fucking Christ,
wow,
man. So anyway, I was like, all right, sure. And it's not just me. Like, obviously, I'm a little salty because I thought if anybody was going to be able to be part of something where there's so many players, I'd at least be picked as one of them. And no, it didn't happen. So that's kind of made me a little salty. And then on top of that, it's the same players in the tournaments twice a week. Like, you see the same people, and like 80% of them are trash. Like, they're not good players. There's really good high super level players that are amazing at the game, but then there's a huge portion of them that are literal trash at the game, and it's hard to watch. Like, it's like physically hard to watch. They, even if they don't include me, they could at least give other people that are really good at the game, like master people that put in a lot of time and effort in the game, like at least give them an opportunity to play. Like, sure, don't discriminate the scrubs. I understand that there are streamers that have, 300, 400, 500 viewers or 1,000 viewers that aren't the greatest, and you want to get as many eyes on your game as possible. I understand that fully, and that's cool. But to do it every single week and not give like really good players an opportunity to play and elevate the gameplay and the watchability of your game just seems kind of lackluster, and the viewer numbers are proving it. Even during the tournaments, the numbers have been going down every week. The actual cast itself is like the weakest in terms of numbers. The ones who are getting the views are the streamers. So like if Summit's playing or whoever's playing, all the viewership is with those guys. And there's like 2,000 or 3,000 people watching the actual cast. Everybody just wants to watch the streamer. And then once the tournament's over, that's it. They log out. They ain't playing. Yeah. They ain't fucking touching the game. They ain't touching it, right? There's certain streamers that are touching it. The ones that are like full-time diehard, those guys are touching it, but those guys are bringing in 100 viewers, 200 viewers. The big non-big streamers are pulling in like 500 viewers on that game. The kind of like unknown, really good players that are grinding it like 20 hours a day on Twitch. And those are the only guys that are playing it. So once the tournaments are over, nobody is interested. Everybody's gone to go follow Summit or Ninja, or I don't even think Ninja's playing in those because he's doing the Fortnite ones. But every other big guy that that's playing the game,
Gyrus and them, they're in there, and
Shroud or whoever else is playing this game, they're just fucking off somewhere. So and I'm looking at it now. There's one guy that's playing right now. That's the top one is 1,200 viewers. I don't even think he's English. And then the second guy is 500 viewers. He's not English. And then the rest of the next English guy is another 500 viewer. So that's
Realm Royale, greatest battle royale in Mother Russia.
So and it all stemmed when they started making these crazy. They added in all the automatic weapons and the hit scan stuff, which I understand for the hit scan because they are coming to console and shit. So I get that. But all these automatic weapons, I think, really did hurt the game a lot. And not just because the automatic weapons are not good and it doesn't feel right in the game, but they made a lot of mistakes patch-wise during that. Now, I will hand it to them. They fix those mistakes very quickly. Like, they are good at patches. I'll give them that. They are very quick to patch.
I'm going to say they're good at the speed in which they patch. I'm not going to give them any quarter on the quality of said patch.
Intellectual capacity behind the patching. Not so good.
But some of the patches were so bad that it turned people off, and I just don't think they went back to Fortnite. And now that Realm is getting closer and closer to Fortnite, and Fortnite is just better at being Fortnite than Realm, people are just playing Fortnite. So
as soon as I had that window of opportunity to talk to the CEO in that stream, and every response was, well, Fortnite does it, I knew it was a lost cause. It's game over. Like,
well, I wouldn't say game over, but
Todd still the CEO?
Well, in terms of, I don't know. In terms of game over, in terms of what the game is going to look like.
Yeah.
Right. And if they're gonna chase the fucking dragon and go after Fortnite, I feel like they dramatically increase the odds of this game being a lost cause. You cannot. I'm definitively going to say, and I don't think I would ever be proven wrong, you can't chase Fortnite. It's already bad enough the game looks exactly like it. It was already being compared to it, but then it had this really good 2-week stint where people finally figured out that it wasn't Fortnite. It might look like
unique. Yeah,
it was but it was unique. It was separate. It was single fire weapons. There wasn't any.
Semi-auto makes it super skill.
It wasn't any hit scan. For the people that weren't particularly good with the single fire weapons, there were classes that allowed them to make up for their lack in skill with that. And it forced people to use class-based skills and weapons more frequently. And it was in this great spot, and there was loads of people playing it, and nobody was fucking complaining. Zero people were complaining about how the game was set up for guns and shit. They complained about balance because at the time Mage was running fucking wild, but instead of just, I don't even know.
And then also what happens is they during the beginning of the game, they specifically went public and said, we are not putting in automatic weapons in our game. Like, they just came out and they were like, we're not doing it. And then lo and behold,
Fortnite
they do a little tiny test, right? And they add the fucking battle rifle. And then when they add the battle rifle, then they add this fucking I go away on vacation and there's an SMG and
the SMG
and some other bullshit.
Hilarious.
And it was all super overpowered, like beyond overpowered. It was ridiculous. It was like fucking SMG wars. And then of course they have Ninja play the game. Ninja's playing, and he's sucking the dick. He's sucking the dick of the automatic weapons, and that just solidified it all. You got Ninja sitting there with 80,000 viewers saying, "Oh, I love this game now. It's got automatic weapons. It feels so much better.
It's the best the game. This is, dude, the SMG patch.
It's awesome." And then they're like, "Yep, no, we're gonna keep it. That's it. Yep, stay in the game. That's it. Ninja said it. Ninja approved. Bang." And where's Ninja playing the game? I don't see him playing the game.
The patch that he said in front of 90,000 people, he played for like fucking 24 hours. It was ridiculous. The patch that he said was the best the game had ever been was the introductory SMG patch.
Yeah.
It wasn't
I just want to pray to the gods he was paid to play that game that day for a low price of fucking $100,000. I'm praying to the gods that he said that, because if not, his credibility as obviously it's a personal bias. All right, I get that, but holy shit, you got to understand your power. Like as somebody that quite literally took Fortnite. I mean, Fortnite was already big, but Ninja just kind of took that momentum and fucking shot it into the next dimension. And to have Realm Royale that is obviously trying to back off the coattails of Fortnite, that looks like Fortnite but plays differently, that has a great amount of publicity and is doing a wonderful, great things, and is tackling that comparison very, very well. To have the guy, the fucking man, play the game for long periods of time while hundreds of actually likely over 1 million people in the span of the 15 plus hours he played the game watch a free-to-play game and will suck Ninja's left testicle if he asks them nicely enough. It's free to play, so just go and download it and play the game. It's not like he's, and if the game costs $60, he'd fucking sell 10,000 copies, 20,000 copies that day. To go on there and then to stroke the living testicles of Realm Royale on quite literally the worst patch in the game's history, and vocally so from everybody. It's not one or two people or a pack of scrubs. They're like, "Oh my God, the game is so tough now. I just can't do it." No, everybody is like, "Stop the madness. Fix this game. Like, go revert back to the old patch. Stop." And then Ninja's saying it's the best thing since sliced bread, while the CEO is sitting in his chat, likely going, yes, Ninja, 1 more hour, Ninja, yes. He's on the fucking line with the dev team saying, oh yeah, more SMGs, more automatic guns, up the hit scan. We're going full Fortnite, baby. If Ninja plays this game a few days a week, we're going to be the next $1 billion fucking company. And that's what happened. And it's backfired because I don't see Ninja playing this game.
You know what the best part is?
In these tournaments, I don't see Ninja sucking the dick of the game now. All I see is dwindling numbers, the same people playing in the tournaments, and a game that is struggling right now, and it is on the ropes of PS4 and Xbox gathering some more players and some more eyes to come in on Twitch, which my fingers are crossed. And we're talking, dude, this is a 2-week difference. 2 weeks ago, I was sucking the ball sack of this game. It was the greatest thing since sliced bread. They could do no wrong, right? Even when they were doing wrong, you give them the leeway of it's okay. They're growing. They're an alpha, even though we know it's really a beta or like damn near close to a full game. But they're having growing pains to this, and it happened very quickly, like 2 weeks quick. It goes from one end of the spectrum to the other end of the spectrum. Listen, the game is still fun. I still love the game, but it's hard to tolerate it like I used to. Like, I used to be able to play the game 10 hours and love it. Now you do 4 hours, 5 hours, and you're like, I hate Warrior. I hate Assassin. This is getting really bad. And I hate SMGs. And it was like the more they added in these automatic weapons, the less likely it was to get number one, a weapon that's fun to use, and then number two, a weapon that can actually shoot and kill people. So now that there's even more weapons and 75% of them are absolute trash,
the automatics just look way
you're
too
far
powerful.
likely to, when you land, you're far likely to pick up one of those trash weapons, and somebody around you is going to get a revolver or a slug rifle or a crossbow and just kill you. But yet you're stuck getting all these shit weapons, and all you hear when you start the game is
it doesn't even sound. It doesn't.
And you're like, what the fuck?
That
Am I
sound,
playing Call of Duty?
That sound doesn't match the game at all. Like you land and you just hear automatic fire all around you, and you're like, what the fuck am I? What am I playing?
Exactly.
It sounds like a totally different fucking game, and it plays. I'm gonna be honest. You say it's still fun. I don't think it's fun. I think the game is shit.
So here's the thing about.
Hold on. I'm gonna be very straightforward here. I think the game is shit right now, and I think the numbers do all the talking for me. I don't have to fucking back this shit up. Anyone worth their salt is shitting on the game for the same reasons, and it's because the devs want to make Fortnite. They don't want to make Realm Royale. They want to make Fortnite. And you can't beat Fortnite at its own game. You're never going to do it. Ninja came in and literally, like you said, could not have performed more perfect fellatio if he tried. It was absolutely beautiful. He cupped the balls. He used that fucking tingly KY jelly. Shit was getting real. And then you go to the numbers, you look at it, and it kept going down. It didn't fucking move anywhere. Yeah. Zero, you were joking. Like 1 million people would have watched Ninja sucking the dick off of this free-to-play game that is trying to play exactly like Fortnite. And even with that, and even with $100,000 tournament, and this fucking endless invitational of the same fucking 3 people playing the game, and only 2 of them know what they're doing. It just keeps doing this, keeps going down.
Oh, stop them.
And you watch their patches. It's like as soon as I saw that they were what their patch process was, we're gonna put this on the test server for like
5 minutes,
5 fucking minutes, and then we're gonna go straight to the live server. And you're like, what do you fucking even have a test server for? And I asked this question, and apparently the honest to God answer was they don't have the test server for actually testing patches. They beyond testing the patches for server stability. Full stop. So it's nothing to do with balance.
That actually surprised me. That I can talk to a little bit about.
Sure, and there's clout to that, and most of it is that, especially now, they don't have the player base left to go to the fucking test server and play it.
They don't.
But when they first started doing this shit, Fuck yeah, they did. And if they incentivized, like some other games have done in the past, to actually go onto the test server and participate and help, make the game not shit, then maybe some more people would show up, and then you wouldn't piss people off. You gotta understand, Realm CEO, whoever the fuck, Todd, Billy Bob,
Harris.
Todd, fucking Harrison Ford, whoever the fuck is taking up this game right now, all right?
One of them's watching this for sure at some point.
Not everyone is a live streamer that plays your fucking game. And that sounds like a really obvious statement to make. But not everyone is 13 years old with endless disposable time, or a streamer who does this shit for a living and no life's your game for 8 to 14 hours a fucking day. And so what happens is, you got people who like your game, but they're not in that category. So what happens? They go to work because they have to make some fucking money to live. And they get home and they want to relax. And so they turn on the game, but they can't do that every single day for 5 hours a day. So what happens usually is by the end of the week, they're open with their weekend. It's time to play some fucking video games, and their latest crack cocaine, for whatever reason, is Realm Royale. And so they turn on Realm Royale, and between the time that they went to their fucking pencil-pushing ass job and got home and will have a beer and they're ready to fucking play some video games and they turn it on, it is a totally different game. It resembles nothing that they played 3 to 5 days previously. And on top of that, it's broken as fuck. And because your dumbass puts out patches on Friday night, and you go home,
that's a whole...
and then you go home
preach it
for the weekend, and you have your fucking beer and play Fortnite because you're not playing Realm fucking Royale.
Let him know.
And then you get back on Monday and you're like, all right, now I guess we'll take a look and see what we can do, because you're fucking abusing the fact that that's the time you hope people play it so you can get enough fucking data, but you wouldn't have that problem if you stopped fucking the game in the ass. What does Bob do when he gets home? He sees that he gets pissed.
Yep.
He doesn't want to play the game anymore. He wants to have something that he could take his skills from 4 days ago and still have them fucking be applicable at the end of the work week.
Like in Fortnite?
Yes. And then
Hell,
the thing is, this is alpha. No, it's not. It's fucking beta. You took most of the shit from one of your other fucking games, Paladins. It's not alpha. And then even if it was alpha, you have to think about this differently from other games, especially if you're going to push it as an esport while it's still in fucking alpha. You have to think about how this game is going to be played and who's going to fucking play it. This is a different fucking world now. This isn't just putting out a game and patching it because there's a fucking save corrupting bug. It's a different fucking ball game. When you do this shit and you're going to have to treat it as such, people are going to want slow changes through, especially when you start up the fuck here. Look at how many other people have tried to do Battle Royale games and haven't even made it off the starting line.
They can't. You see like Radical Heights.
Your ass shows up and puts out this shit, and it starts fucking at like 100,000 plus concurrent hourly players. Unfucking told beginning success. If you start at that point, you don't get to treat your game like a standard alpha, beta, whatever the fuck you want to call it anymore. You have to treat it like a game that's already fucking made it. And when you do that, it means you have to patch at certain times. It means you can't do wild fucking patch changes. It means that you have to spend more time with the community to figure out what actually wants to be changed, because you've already made it. You're not out to fucking get other people and impress them. You're already fucking there. If you hold down 50 to 100,000 hourly concurrent players, you're in like the top 10 games on Steam, and you haven't even left fucking pre-production, for fuck's sake. Just take the win.
Just a couple weeks in. All the streamers are playing your game. You're not paying anybody, at least in public knowledge. Everyone's enjoying it, having a good time. Everyone's sucking the dick of this game, but yet you want to make these drastic changes every week, every 3 or 4 days. And like Adam said, you cannot do that. It was like, it's literally, I agree 100% with what you're saying. You can't go from playing a game and then the next time you play it, it's such a drastically different game that you feel inadequate, that you feel like you're not having fun because you're getting wrecked by something that's OP, because you're not taking the time to properly balance and you're changing things that really aren't even asked to be changed. listen, you can go ahead and make changes, but you got to do it in a graceful amount of time, and you got to listen to the community and let things marinate a little bit. You let the fucking steak sit in the sauce for a fucking day or two, and in this case, let it sit for a week or two. Let that motherfucking juice up all those juices and let it just fucking sit in the meat. And that way, when we eat it and we take a bite of it, it's fucking savory and juicy, and it just fucking breaks the moment my knife just touches it. I don't even need to use a fork. The shit just melts off it. No H1 sauce, no fucking A1 sauce. Just want to eat the steak, because if I do anything else with it, I'm fucking dampering the taste, and I'm a cuck because I'm using ketchup with my awesome steak. But no, instead, you took a perfectly Wagyu beef patty that is just delicious, and it's just been like fucking hand cut from Japan, where they fucking massage the cows and give them fucking wraparounds, and then bottle their cum for like 3 years, and then sprinkle that jizz on top of the piece of meat and let that marinate for another 4 years. And then you want to fucking cook it on a shitty pan on my fucking oven or my stove upstairs. And then you want to slap some ketchup on it and call it a day. Are you insane? That's fucking madness. You had it in a silver platter, and it's almost over for you. It's almost over. You need this PS4 Xbox release to be a home run and a half. And then you need to learn from your mistakes that has been going on for the last month and not repeat itself to have a shot at this. You've tried to become Fortnite, and that was your fatal error. You fucked up, and now you need to repair yourself, or it's GG. Because right now, you're literally on life support, and the numbers show it. Fortnite ain't going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. I
don't actually have any faith, because when you put out a patch like the SMG patch, I've lost faith in you.
Guys, I'm gonna interject here.
Go for it.
Hi-Res Studios is a game studio that does not know how to be successful. In a sense that when they are successful, they don't know what to do with it.
Panic, you're blowing my mind right now, really and truly. I'm going to let you know.
No. I'm just saying, looking back on their games, like Hi-Res is not like some new studio. They've done a bunch of games, but they're about 50-50.
Smite was like they stumbled through the dark and they managed to fucking find their way out, and they're still not really out.
But then they also had on the flip side Global Agenda and Tribes Ascend. Now, Global Agenda was this epic game that everyone was like waiting for, but Hi-Res really fumbled the ball, and game ended up dying. And the shooter mechanics of it were kind of dopey and stuff, but I guarantee you a lot of stuff from that ended up in Realm Royale in some way, shape, or form. And then on the other side, they had Tribes Ascend, which is one of the greatest shooter franchises from the olden days.
Tribes needs a fucking comeback. I want some high level fucking esports Tribes.
That's the thing. They made Tribes Ascend, and that game was amazing in terms of shooter potential and responsiveness, crisp shooting, gameplay. It was so well done. And then it was on track to be successful. And then Hi-Res is yeah, we're just gonna focus on Smite, and they let the game die pretty much. And people were just Tribes Ascend was amazing. It was one of the best arena shooters out there right now, and you guys just let it die. And now with Realm Royale, I'm looking at it, I'm you guys have a successful Battle Royale. You guys don't really know what you're doing with patching, clearly. And you're going to screw it up again, clearly. You know what's really aggravating, though, is that they're obviously good at making video games. Yes, that's the most annoying part about all this, is that the game looks good, it runs well, it plays well, and there's technical competence in it, and there's very technical competence in it, and the artwork it might not be an 11 out of 10, but it's higher than average for sure. There's no real, it doesn't strike you as coming from a studio that is. It's like a budget Blizzard, man. It's weird. Literally a budget Blizzard. It's almost, it's not quite at the level of Blizzard quality games, but it really resembles it in terms of their IPs and the possibility, the things that they could possibly do if only they could just competently follow through. It's like somebody that has a decent golf game, but they can't really just follow through on that swing fully. So sometimes they hit a great ball, but their follow through is just garbage. It's just if only they just took the time to learn their deficiencies and improve on them. Not even fully, just
You know what they are? They're that one friend that everyone has, at least one friend that self-sabotages every time they're just about to have some modicum of success anywhere in their life. They get right up to it and they're just about to cross the threshold, self-sabotage, fuck themselves. Get another wave, get all the way up to the and like they've had all these goes, all these opportunities have hit, and they've ran with it, and they're right up to the fucking cusp, and they can just grab it, and then and they just shit on themselves, and they fucking ride the wave right back down again. And I feel like that's what high res is. They get all this momentum, all this success, they ride it up to the top. Let's put out SMGs in our game that can kill warriors before their charge animation's over. Yeah, that's sane. Who the fuck at the friggin' table? Did they play it? No, they didn't. I actually asked. That was one of the questions. That was one of the questions I asked CEO was do you guys actually play this game internally? Because the way that the game is being patched right now, it comes across as not a single fucking employee actually plays this game. You have employees going around watching streams, but I want to know if any of you actually have, you know, a keyboard and mouse and a computer for gaming in which you play this game before you do something as asinine as put out an SMG that literally makes every other weapon, class ability, and class weapon completely irrelevant. When the gun is actually a better choice for DPS than the animation time for a mage to throw a fucking fireball. If your options are throw the fireball, that little fucking like 3 to 5 frames that it takes for the mage to go, ha, and throw like a 9 million damage fireball, just holding down fire on the SMG and not stopping like you would with other guns is more damage. If you can't figure that shit out, you're in the wrong business.
Adam, there's a reason why guns won out over magic in the modern world.
Oh my god. You know what this shit is like? You know what this shit's like watching? This is like the International House of Pancakes trying to change the name to the International House of Burgers or whatever the fuck it was that they tried to change it to.
I'm going to end it on this and then we'll move on. What is the over-under? All right. If I'll ask Panic.
100%.
Okay. What is the over-under that before they throw in the towel or before this game literally just fucking dies and disappears, that they introduce building?
Huh.
I was gonna go with calling her Radical Heights instead of over/under.
What is the over/under that they introduce building?
I don't think it's going to be building, but it will be like some pseudo other mechanic that they'll go with. The way that they've been going is I feel like we're going to see like they'll shift away from class abilities being the differentiator, and they'll try and like shoehorn some tertiary fucking gameplay mechanic to make up for it. And it won't be building, but it will be something that's awful fucking Fortnite. Like, I don't know what it's going to be, but they'll come up with some shit. And then, yeah, if you get to talk to the CEO, no joke, every answer, Fortnite. What about your fucking damage fall off? It's the same as Fortnite's. Like, everything was Fortnite. It's like, let's be honest, bro. You don't play your own game. You play Fortnite when you go home at the end of the work week.
Oh my god, that's the most savage insult.
It's true. I put fucking money on it. He doesn't play his own game. I bet you he goes home and he fucking plays Fortnite. And then he's like, man,
he's dreaming of those Fortnite bonuses that he could potentially get if the game actually becomes overly successful, right?
He's looking at Epic CEO going, oh, that's a newly made billionaire. Man, I wish I could do that. And instead of just being a millionaire, what a shame that would have been. Let's just piss that shit away. Just fucking run another game and just go back to Smite. Like, well, guys, it's back to Smite. Hopefully MOBAs get popular again.
All right, what is next?
What's next?
We got about
we're
40 minutes or so.
Fucking just riding the wave here. Nintendo hammers LoveRom and LoveRetro, 2 websites for emulators and ROMs, of course, with a lawsuit for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, for every game that they made available, they're looking at $100,000 to $150,000 or some shit.
Good luck, Nintendo.
Well, the idea is they're just slamming them so hard that they're going to shut everything down, right?
Yeah, just going to shut it down.
So they've done that, and they also have levied a takedown order on a Game Boy Advanced emulator that's on GitHub. So my question is, because to my knowledge, I don't think any other company has gone after emulators or ROMs in this
is
regard.
a very Nintendo thing.
It's a very Nintendo thing to do.
Yeah.
Considering that they got rid of on the Switch the what was it called? Not
store?
the eShop, but their what did they call it on the Wii U?
The Play thing.
Virtual console.
The Virtual Console.
There
Thank you.
Go.
So they're not doing that by name. They're setting it up so that like they're gonna have a small selection of games that you'll probably end up paying monthly for, as like along with their online service where you have to have 47 dongles to fucking plug a headset into a telephone to, do their online communication like it's 1987. So they're going away from Virtual Console to that. The selection of their games is limited. A lot of the emulation isn't even as good as most of the open source emulation that's available on the internet. And there's even been questions about whether or not Nintendo has in the past actually used ROMs that they have found on the internet instead of ripping them themselves from their own fucking copies of their games. Is Nintendo hurting video game preservation? A lot of these consoles getting harder and harder to find. The carts are getting harder to find, like the carts that work in particular fully. And a lot of these emulators, nobody's out there making billions of dollars off making emulators. It's all free. It's all friggin' open source, or whatever. Is Nintendo, when they start doing this shit, are they hurting their own company's legacy preservation? Because ultimately, we're even seeing Sega at least make a better effort to make more of their games available for people to buy that are older. Nintendo seems to be fucking that whole thing right in the pussy. They have one of the most lucrative retro libraries that you could possibly come up with, and they're not even using a tenth of it. And so if you're going to take this shit down, at least provide a way for me to give you money to do it properly. But they're not doing that. So what do you guys think about their move on this?
Go ahead, Panic.
I don't have anything on that.
Yeah. I listen, I don't think they are. I personally don't think they're hurting their legacy.
Not their legacy, like the preservation of their games. Because
I think there's a bunch of hipsters making articles about this shit, right? And some old purists of video games, lovers of the art of video games, and it's kind of like talking about, I don't know.
There's a difference between having the emulators. They exist. It's the problem is they put it out open and free for anyone to use. That's a problem because that can facilitate piracy in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's
the archiving thing. I get it's a good argument, but at the same time, it's not really about that. It's about getting old games for free at this point.
Yeah,
at least in my mentality.
Whoever's complaining about this stuff right now, I'm not going to say they're salty that things are being taken away from them, that they can't get their hands on whatever they want when they want it. Poor you. But it's the games aren't going anywhere, right? There are tons of actual copies of the games out there if you want to go out and pay for them.
You can get the hardware, the hardware still works.
And a lot, yes, exactly. And a lot of the thing is a lot of people are complaining that they can't play the games they love on their newest devices. I don't think this has much to do with, I'm having a hard time finding Mario Bros. 3 on the Nintendo.
Well, it's difficult to have it play on a modern television. You need to have like a fucking whole slew of legacy shit or converters to even have it.
Not really. Not really. It's not as tough as you think it is. I can hook up my regular Nintendo or Super Nintendo to my 65-inch OLED. Sure, I'm not going to be able to enjoy the purest form of the pixels and whatever. Like that's a small minority of people that actually go and are looking to experience it in its pure glory. Somebody like yourself, Adam, that would
I mean,
enjoy.
I haven't touched an emulator or any of the shit in ages.
It's a niche market.
It's a niche.
It's a niche market, and Nintendo isn't selling any of these games. They're not promoting any of their own emulation of any kind. And there are people out there the guys who are making these emulators, who are reverse engineering these old consoles, who are doing it so that for the games that aren't being sold,
they're doing
anymore,
it for profit. They're doing it for profit.
Who's paying
right?
them?
Well, nobody, but they have traffic.
So,
they have traffic going to their sites.
But the guys making the emulators aren't the ones that own the websites. The websites are run by different people.
People are selling emulated machines. People are selling. Look beside me. People are stealing.
Well, sure.
Essentially,
MAME cabinets have been around forever.
People are stealing the IPs of these companies, and Nintendo is really them, and say Rockstar, but really it's Nintendo, are the only ones that are out there actively shutting down people for their stuff. It's a Japanese company. The way they run things are different. Their culture's different. We've talked about it many times on the stream on how they do things. I listen, if Nintendo doesn't want to put out all of their games on the Nintendo Switch, on the Nintendo 3DS, on their whatever, they don't have to. Sorry, tough bananas that somebody wants to play one of their games that they enjoyed as a child on their newest device. Guess what? It's not available for you, my man. You can't have whatever you want when you want it. And if they do put it out, congratulations, or start a petition, or voice your concerns. The reality of it is, it's a minority of people, and most people that want to play these old games, they want to go down memory lane. They want to just have this nostalgic feeling. I've sold over $20,000 worth of retro games in the last 2.5 years, and I can tell you that the vast majority of those people, when I sell them a Super Nintendo with Mario World or Super Metroid, they plug it in, they play it for 15-20 minutes, or they have their boys over and they play Mario Kart, and then they don't touch it again. A lot of this is just
back on the market again.
It ends up back on Kijiji, where I go and rebuy it again at cheaper than what I did. Mm-hmm. I understand your argument. I get it. Listen, look at my wall. I love me some video games. I love it too. But I'm not about to cry that I can't get these games on the newest stuff when I want it, and I'm gonna throw a hissy fit if Nintendo is actively going out there shutting down people for emulating their games if they don't want it in that capacity. It's not up to the public to choose how Nintendo delivers their stuff, or how they want their IPs represented, or how they even want it sold. There's a branding thing there, there's a quality thing there, and there's a stamp of approval thing there too as well, where Nintendo goes, listen, if we're going to release something, there's a certain standard, a certain quality, a certain look, a certain package that you get it. This isn't, you don't go and buy a Nintendo in the back alley behind a CVS. You don't do that. There's a certain place you go and do it. They don't want their stuff represented in any other way, especially if they can't control it. Now, you can go and make the argument that, listen, Nintendo, calm the fuck down. Nobody's hurting you. Nobody's getting rich off this. Relax. People just want to play your game. That's a good problem to have. And I agree. But at the end of the day, if they don't want their stuff out there, they don't need to put their stuff out there. And if people want to go and play their stuff, it's available. They're just lazy, and they don't want to go on eBay and pay $40 for a game that they can't just go on the store on their Switch and buy. That's the way I look at it.
So my issue with the entire thing was the emulators being available online for free and all that other stuff. I mean, you can still find stuff like that, but making the games available, like, you have those guys who make the companies who will then go and emulate the hardware in other hardware, and then they sell that box. I'm 100% okay with that, because I can go and take my cartridge that I got that's, from eBay or whatever. I can plug that into hardware. It might not be Nintendo hardware, but if it plays the game fine, I'm all right with selling that and you making money off that, because you have to put effort in to figuring out and reverse engineering and building that new hardware to play it. I'm not okay with you. Again, it's kind of a weird line, but if you make the software available for free and then you do it, it kind of promotes piracy in a different way, because you're effectively giving away something that Nintendo made. And yeah, it's not a fully articulated argument.
I'm not sitting here advocating people making money or the dissolution of a brand or nor am I saying that Nintendo is in the wrong for doing this. None of those are concerns of mine. They are fully within their rights to do it. I don't give a fuck if they took down the whole goddamn internet for their emulation and their ROMs in terms of whether or not they're allowed to do it. My concern is that for somebody that likes games an awful lot, and like Jeff does as well, is that the stuff that's sitting behind Jeff on those shelves are not going to be fucking around forever. It's just plain and simple. And even if they are, they're not going to work forever. There's only so many times that you can get a Q-tip out with some fucking hydrogen peroxide or some isopropyl alcohol and clean the contacts on it and have it just boot up and fucking work like it worked in 1987. It's only going to work so many times. My concern is that I want to know, because I don't know, so for all I know, they could be, and it would make logical sense that they would be. What efforts Nintendo internally are making to ensure that all of this shit stays around? Because I think just from the
Nintendo.
And I'm not saying Christ on a bike. I don't know why it keeps coming across like I'm saying that Nintendo has to do this shit or not. I'm saying that from a video game history perspective, which it'd be a tragic loss. Which maybe not everyone fucking gives a damn about it, and that's fine. You don't have to. But from my perspective, I care about video game history. I think it's really fucking cool. I think people care about video game history enough that, like Jeff, they have an entire goddamn wall of 5 different consoles with friggin' 200 games a pop, trying to find all this rare, super fucking epic shit because it's cool, and there's not very many of them, and they're not going to be around forever. There's a reason why that shit exists and why people do it, and the reason is they find it intriguing, and they think that it's an important part of where the company fucking came from. And it's nice that Nintendo is backing up every fucking copy of Super Mario World, or Super Mario The Lost Levels, or Super Mario Kart, or Super Mario fucking whatever, and like 3 other shades of Nintendo IP, but there are hordes of games that aren't getting that treatment from Nintendo directly. And again, they don't have to. It's not their prerogative. Nobody's forcing their hand. But that's where I don't even think I want to say the word take issue, because then it seems like I'm being combative against Nintendo. But where I would like it, especially because we've already also ascertained a couple of things. One, this is hyper niche. This is fucking tiny. And then on top of that niche, is the concept that Nintendo is that other people, I'm not saying you guys, but other people have ascertained, or not ascertained, but they've asserted that Nintendo's losing all this fucking money. No, they're not. They're not losing shit for a couple reasons. One, it's a hyper niche, and on top of that, like Jeff said, they're available. And if they were going to buy it, they go out and buy a used fucking copy. And maybe, in fact, it's been shown a lot that if Nintendo puts out the fucking game, people will go and buy whatever Nintendo puts out. They don't do it is the problem. And so for that hyper little niche, it has seemed... I understand why they do it, because if they don't, then it sets a legal precedent that makes it difficult for them to come back on bigger cases that are actually losing them money. But it's unfortunate to me that people can go through the effort of emulating this shit better than Nintendo has emulated them themselves, and ripped ROMs that Nintendo has ironically fucking pulled off the internet for use in their own sale in the virtual console, which is like irony squared, and then go through the effort of taking this shit down. Also, let's keep in mind that it doesn't fucking matter. These 2 websites are a speck of dust in the Sahara fucking desert of the emulation community. They could do this until their coffers were empty, trying to chase after people legally. It's on the internet. It's all over. They've already lost the battle. The shit's on the internet. They've already lost.
Exactly.
It's just,
so the argument
whatever.
So the argument is pretty much null and void, right? Because
it's just
everything is already out there.
It's not null and void. It's what I'm postulating is that is Nintendo themselves hurting their own gaming history, their own library, because they don't seem to be from the outside actively pursuing preserving what's come before, which again, they don't have to. No. And not that many people probably fucking care, but it's a thing. And there's a reason why these things exist
I
in the first place.
I just don't see how they're hurting themselves. You know, they might be able to make more money if they sold a lot of their stuff more frequently, but obviously they have other plans. They don't want to compete with other IPs and you know, whatever other things. Maybe they have some sort of plan to re-release a lot of stuff later down the road. You know, I can say for sure that these cart-based games are going to work in 30 years. My kids, whenever I have kids, will be able to use those carts. It's not going to be an issue. And the internet is there. And there's going to be a ton of places to download whatever you want, whenever you want. So I don't think they're hurting themselves in any way. Not only am I sure that they have copies of every single game they've ever made somewhere in some vault, but on top of that, it's available at any point, at any time. So not only for cart version, I could literally go on eBay right now and search the most obscure game that only 500 people in the world has ever played because it had like a limited release or just garbage or it was just bad. And I could find a copy of that and buy it tomorrow. Now, I might pay a premium, you know, it might be a $200 game to get my hands on, but that's the case. But I can also guarantee that I could go on YouTube or on Google and type in that game with a ROM, find that and load it up as well instantly for free. So I don't think that they're hurting themselves in any way, shape, or form. I think really the argument for anybody that is really complaining would be, you know, are they just poking their nose in places that they don't really need to be poking their nose in because nobody's hurting anybody and people are, you know, they're trying to find, you know what, the way I look at it is people that use this preserve bullshit is, sure, I get what they're saying, but once again, I'm not going to repeat what I said, but I also just think, it's a bullshit excuse for them, for them to illegally get games that they haven't paid for. It's like, listen, motherfucker, I'm concerned about you, Nintendo. Like, you know, I'm doing this for your good, to preserve the fucking beauty of Nintendo game. We don't want it to get lost in the generations, you know. Listen, Nintendo ain't going anywhere, and their games aren't going anywhere, and they most certainly aren't going anywhere in your lifetime. So, you know, unless you're somebody that like studies dinosaurs and you want to go and find dinosaur fossils and you're trying to preserve the fucking, you know, where things actually become extinct and there's real life things that happen and that shit, you know, those bones aren't on the internet to look at and take whenever you want or physically buy on eBay. I get that. But you're not a fucking, you know, pantheologist or whatever the fuck they're called. These are video games that are available to anybody at any time, illegally or legally. And that isn't going to change. I don't know what the fuck they're called. I don't know what the fuck they're called.
Paleontologist.
There you go. Paleontologist. You know what you guys know what I'm saying, though. These games aren't going anywhere. These games are gonna live longer than you and anybody listening.
So why aren't they going after the people who are really making really good money on that shit? And Panic alluded to it earlier, where it's the people doing FPGA shit like the Super NT and the NT. Because
the thing is, the Super NT guys, they're not selling the games. They made a console that literally will just read cartridges. It's an alternative interface.
Except for the whole point where you can just plug in a memory card with all the ROMs and the game and the FPGA does it all the same. You know, that little caveat. Yeah, what a shame that would be if somebody just fucking put in their 10 gig card and has every fucking game.
But once again, Adam, we are not discussing and we're not arguing who they're going after. You've already made the point that they can do whatever the fuck they want to do with their own IP.
No, so what I'm saying is
God-given right.
Exactly.
Right?
So what I'm saying is why would they choose this versus somebody who's actually directly profiting not only by just posting shit on a website, but physically the guy who's done the Super NT shit is a literal fucking 1 in a million god genius who is hardware gate one at a time recreated the Super Nintendo to the point where it will play every fucking game exactly like the original console did, not like all these other fuckboy wannabe consoles that you've got sitting behind you that we've played old games on before, and not even like the shitbox $90 shit that Nintendo's putting out.
Yes.
So why? So, and I'm not saying that they can't or shouldn't, but my question is, why wouldn't they be going after them where they're making like $200 to $500 a pop on that shit versus choosing this to be their hill to die on, especially because it's just going to pop up on some other website. But if you get rid of the Super NT, it's not going to just suddenly fucking pop up.
Well, for two reasons. Now that we're changing the subject, because that's not what the subject.
No, I'm not changing it. I'm just adding it. I'm not trying to change it to win an argument. I'm just adding on to why would they not go on? I'm not trying to like win a point or anything. I'm just asking as an elaboration of the topic.
Yeah. Well, for one, is that guy who's creating that is not like what Panic said. He's not emulating the games. He's creating a hardware to play the games.
The other catch should be just to cut you off for 1 second, Jeff. The other catch is what you said about the SD card. You actually have to hack the firmware and load custom firmware before you can load ROMs from the SD card.
It's really not that complicated.
But that's the thing, though. He put the block in there. That's why they don't necessarily go after him.
And then on top of that,
someone's got to like actually work around.
And then on top of that, they may not even have found this guy or know what he's doing or even got to it, right? I mean, this could just be one of those things that they went after some people. It made some headlines, and here you are. I mean, they might go after that dude eventually, or they may just never do it at all. It is what it is. The same with like the Pokemon thing. Pokemon would go after these most random people for selling like Pokemon t-shirts or whatever, but yet they wouldn't go after other people that were, doing whatever shit and copywriting and selling whatever and making a lot more money. I think it's just the unluck of the draw for those people that were doing it. I think they're just making a statement. And once again, they have the right to do whatever they want with their own stuff. And, they could try and shut them all down or just try and shut down two. I don't think they're playing favoritisms or anything like that. It's just these guys ended up getting smacked with it, and that's the show. But once again, to end it, as for preserving that shit, that's just a bullshit argument. The games are going to be here forever. They're not going anywhere. I just think people are salty that they can't play the games that they want to play, and it's a very, very small niche market. Same with the market that you're talking about the guy that sells $300 Super Nintendo systems. Guy like me isn't going to buy them. A guy like you probably would to experience it, because that's it. But we're talking, and I'm a hardcore collector, and we're talking like a niche of a niche. And so it's not like this guy is rolling in millions of dollars in sales of these things. It's going to be a certain amount of people that are
specifically said, I'm building this for a niche market. That's why it's a little bit expensive than the normal stuff, because some people want the super high fidelity thing.
Yeah. Well, they just want to
be able to plug
the card in and have it work like it was supposed to.
We actually talked about him like a couple of months ago on the podcast.
We did. Yeah.
And like,
I think it's awesome.
He went through the whole process.
I don't even have the wall of games Jeff does, and I wouldn't mind having one just because I know I can rely on it better than any other piece of hardware that's on the market to do it.
It'll just work.
And I don't need to have fucking $300 in converters to make it not look or play like horse shit with like 15 frames of input latency, so that when Jeff and I play Family Feud and I'm trying to type in, horsecock for my family name, it doesn't take me extra time. I want to be able to do that immediately.
You want a horsecock immediately.
Exactly. It's very important. It's a very important thing. Despite a rough generation, and that's an understatement for Microsoft, the gaming division has managed to, for the first time, break $10 billion this fiscal year. Despite the fact that they haven't really been selling that many consoles or that many games. And so this shows just how incredibly lucrative the games as a service system is, because that's where the majority of their money is coming from.
What are the like? I read what you were saying there. I was a little confused.
So it's things like the Xbox Live service. It's things like the Game Pass thing, or whatever they have it called, where you can play whatever
like the games or whatever.
Yeah, like you have games on there that you can play as long as you hold the service down. And remember at E3 they were talking about how like brand new games are going to show up, their first party. So the Forza stuff or Halo shows up day one. You have access to it if you're paying monthly for that service. Stuff like that. All of those things. Which games on a micro level have also, done, that the free-to-play market is a games as a service, for example. But from a console perspective, yes, it's those additive services that they provide that generate so much money. And I'm just posing that it's probably a pretty strong indicator that model is going to continue to dominate going forward. I don't personally make use of the games as a service stuff all that much. I don't think either of you guys do so much either. But how do you feel about games as a service versus just, let's call it the legacy way of acquiring and playing your games? Do you think that there's more value, or do you think that there's less value, but they're doing it because they know they're going to make they're going to make more money off of you versus trying to just sell you a straight up copy of the game?
Well, they're not preserving their games very well if there's no physical copies, so maybe they didn't think that one through fully. Because eventually those hard drives are gonna shut down on people, and their games are gonna be gone forever.
It's like the last multiplayer game of Halo 2.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the online stuff is great. I think it's good for the industry. I think it's just the way the world is going. Not only in terms of consuming television, a lot of people aren't going to the movies as much because TV is so great. And Netflix and HBO and all these other things, television is just
putting on really mini movies.
Yeah, straight up. And in a lot of cases, like real movies, like real quality shit that you would pay in the theater to go see. Yeah. You can see in the comfort of your own home. I think that there's nothing wrong with doing that at all for the virtual market. I think it's great. And I use them both. I buy physical copies and I buy digital stuff. I buy the physical copies to IPs that I really enjoy, that I want to have some eye candy on my shelf. And also, to be honest, I just feel like I'm getting a little bit more value when I actually buy a physical product. I'm getting the same thing, but it just feels like I have something tangible. Like it feels like I'm like my money.
Possession
like
is 9/10 of the law.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the way I do it. So if there's stuff that, that I don't really care about, or some sort of 3D game that I want to play, or, some game I just don't really care about that I'm like iffy about, then I'll just buy it on the store and call it a day and install it and play it and then uninstall it and never look at it again. But as for the games I love, which there's not a lot for the new generation consoles, I have them all sitting on the wall, or actually the majority of them are in the console room, just sitting on the table, and that's the show. It would be nice though if we got a little discount for buying it on the store, but I can see why they don't do that, because that would murder game sales for stores and retailers, and it would.
Well, Amazon does it.
Well, I suppose to an extent.
GameStop's going down one way or another. It don't matter anyway.
GameStop is going down. But like things like Walmart and other big places that sell games, they would definitely suffer. I mean, even think about like saving $10. That would be huge. I mean, $5.
When Amazon added that $3 discount on pre-ordering a game on Prime,
it's
GameStop
huge.
Tanked.
Yeah.
People are like, I will save $3 if I just order this on Amazon and they'll just send it to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think I'm on board with the games as a service in depending on who you are as a consumer. So there are people that only have so many hours in the day to play games, and so having paying for, let's say, $20 a month to have access to a library of games on the Xbox might not work out for them all that well, because they're not going to get their money's worth. They can only get through so many games in the run of a month or the run of 2 or 3 months, and so it's not worth it for them. Instead, it's better off to just go out and buy a game for $80 and then ride that baby off into the sunset. And then when they have more time and there's a game they're interested in, do it all over again. But for a lot of younger people with more disposable time and maybe not as much disposable money, doing $20 a month or even $30 a month is going to look really fucking good, because they're going to plow through 2 to 3 games a month and they're paying $30. And it's available. So as long as they keep adding games and the people can keep up with it, and the games are games that they want to play, then that's a fantastic value proposition, much like Netflix.
If we do a little bit of math, it's what, $20 a month or something?
I'm actually not sure the exact price of it.
It might be $15 a month or something, but that would be like $180 a year to maybe like, $240 a year. That's about 4 games. Now, a lot of these subscription services, you see it with MoviePass and all that, they bank on the fact that out of convenience and it not being.
Sorry, Panic. It's actually on sale. I'm not getting anybody to kick back on this. It's normally 1 month. I think there's a sale or some shit on right now. Oh no, it's 1 month. Okay, so 1 month is $11.99 Canadian. So it's like $10. It'd be like $9.99 or $8.99
American
in the States.
So $120 a year.
It says get unlimited access to 100 Xbox One and Xbox 360 games on the Xbox One for that monthly price. That's fucking crazy. If they keep adding to that shit and they don't like pull a Netflix and start taking stuff out of circulation, that's insane.
That's a good value, but again, they bank on the fact that, you know, one, the digital copy won't cost them any more than what they usually do to distribute.
Yep.
And two, they're going to bank on someone just forgetting about them having the service, and they're going to get like 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks before someone realizes and cancels. So a lot of the subscription services run on that premise, and to Xbox, having games on there already and just like, it's just a way to skim the market a different way. Because probably there's a lot of those games that people wouldn't necessarily buy.
Oh, of course.
There's a lot of games that they would.
There's a lot of shows that people will not.
You're just not going to watch, but it's there. It gives you options. It makes it seem more appealing and more value. So someone will throw you the $9.99 a month, and you know, if they play or not, it doesn't really impact Microsoft at that point. So I think it's pretty smart. For me personally, I'm not huge on the games as a service thing, even though I'd probably get a ton of value out of it. I'm kind of like Jeff. I like holding copies of my games. I download plenty of games, but you know, there's just something nice about having a cartridge or having the game. And I'm old school. I grew up on that. That's like my mentality. It's weird when it's a digital game for me sometimes. I'm just like, oh, what happens if this breaks? Do I have to like transfer like when my 3DS died and I got a new one? I'm like, oh crap, I have to figure out how to transfer my licenses and crap, and you know, how to do all of that. You know, that's like a headache too. So it's just like, you know, it's a great model, and it's nice to have the options. So, you know, more power to Xbox, I guess.
Yeah, I look at it kind of in the same way that these movie pass things that we've been talking about is very, very similar to that, right? And some of it is definitely banking on the fact that people aren't going to extract all the value from it. They're not going to, you know, blow up the servers with downloading certain games. They're not going to do anything like that. So there's going to be some value for Xbox's division in that regard. And so yeah, I think it's just an extension of that. And I mean, if you look at it, if you're doing you know, Xbox Live, and that's $12 a month, and then Canadian, and then you're doing Game Pass, another $12 a month, after tax, what, $30 a month, and you've got all of their online services. You've got the Game Pass that includes even, you know, newer titles that are coming out on day one. You get access to that stuff if it's a first-party title. And then on top of that, looking at it, they've got a thing going on. I mean, this tells me how much I haven't used an Xbox in forever. But if you have Gold, which is, you know, your basically your Xbox Live membership essentially at this point, you get some pretty deep discounts on games. Yeah. Not all of them, but a fair chunk of them. For example, City Skylines, which is a pretty popular game. If you have Gold, it's $16 instead of $40. Which is a pretty impressive discount. So they're definitely trying to provide as much value as possible to get you onto a subscription. Yep. Because obviously that means that they make more money doing that than they do it any other way. Yep. Yeah.
Our good friend Jorbach actually in chat just made a comment that reminds us why we also should worry about digital services and the whole archiving thing that Adam was talking about. Jorbach says, if Steam died, my soul would be wrenched to the horrid netherworld.
Yeah, because all of those games gone.
Yeah. And it's gone.
And it's gone.
So again, for a subscription thing though, you know, it's like, yeah, you're paying for the service, and if the service goes away, you can accept it a little. You can accept that a little bit. Like that was what the value proposition was. But for like a digital service where it's like you own the games, kind of like Steam, that's a little bit different. Like, what happens if Steam dies tomorrow?
Yeah, so I'll end this on this because we got to keep this keep this train going. But this is a great service for anybody that plays a shit ton of video games. Like people that are buying a lot of games or just playing a lot. there's a tremendous amount of value. It's like me going to the movie theater. Like those things work for me perfectly because I'm actually going to save money. Same with the people that are using this service that play a lot of games. It's the people that are casuals that are just getting on it for the sake of getting on it, thinking that they're getting an amazing deal, but it's only an amazing deal if they're buying a lot of games in a run of a year. So the thing is the vast majority of people aren't really crunching a lot of numbers. They're not overthinking it. And then a lot of the time is their situations change. So one time, you know, maybe they start working, they start to become an adult, and now they don't have enough time to play as much games as they used to, but they just keep the membership anyway. That is good for Xbox. They're also not shipping out
the potential of being able to play games, even though they might not be able to.
And also these people that are signing up, them owning the game isn't. It isn't a bet. They don't care about that. Like they wouldn't sign up if they wanted to own the game. It's like getting a Netflix whatever, like a subscription. Listen, I know I don't own all the seasons of Breaking Bad. I can watch them on Netflix. I know I don't own all the seasons of The 100. I can buy them on eBay or whatever, or watching a lot of the movies. I can purchase them elsewhere. The thing is I'm opting out from owning physical copies of all these shows and all these movies that I like, but instead I'm just opting in to just stream them online and watch them whenever I want. I know that those shows can disappear at any time, so it's up to me to want to watch those or binge watch them.
Like an expected part of the service.
Yeah, it's an expected part of the agreement. And that's why people normally, I'm sure there'd be some people that are disappointed, like, fuck, they got rid of that game before I got to play it. Shit, I knew I should have played it. I held it off for a while, but most people aren't going to be like, fuck you, I'm canceling my shit tomorrow because you got rid of this. It just kind of comes with the territory. So, you know, the people that are signing that contract, they're not naively signing it. They know what they're getting themselves into for the most part. So I think it's just a win-win for everybody. I don't think it's a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. Kudos to Xbox. Imagine if PlayStation did that. I'd sign up for it. Like, to get all the PS1 games, all the PS2 games.
No, they don't do that far.
Holy fuck, can you imagine? All those JRPGs that you could play. I mean, holy tits. Imagine how amazing for $10 or even $15 a month.
I mean, I think I fucked myself a bit there when I said $30 a month or whatever, because that's where you now know where my consumer limit is, right?
Yeah.
Where if you're gonna tell me, but that would of course mean that they don't cycle shit out like Netflix does. Just leave it all up and add to it over time. Because if Sony went out tomorrow and came up with a way, well, first of all, it could emulate on a PS4 Pro, which I think is a load of bullshit that they don't in the first place. And I don't mean in terms of putting a disc in, but having having a service to play some of the old stuff proper. If they came out tomorrow and they just opened up their first party library and some of the stuff that they still have contacts from games that came out on their older consoles and just started fucking slapping that shit in there and then just put that up on like a $30 a month, I'd be on that shit.
I would jump on that like right on. My whole stream would change. It'd be like for the next year, it's going to be old school JRPGs, fucking like Dino Crisis. I'd be playing all these fucking, it'd be awesome. It'd be amazing. And they would destroy Xbox again.
It's like, yeah. So, I mean, there's the dream. It is there. It's obviously there are reasons why it hasn't happened yet, but I'm sure we'll eventually kind of creep there. Xbox is in the midst of it now. The problem for them is that they have to get permission or license to put a lot of these games back out there. And the game IPs have changed hands like 4 or 5 times in some cases over the years. And so it's not just as easy as, hey, why don't you just have all these games up on already? Let me go. It's just because you can't. It's physically not possible for them to or not physically not possible, but legally not possible for them to do it. One little quick thing for games that we jump right into the movie thing, and I mean very quick in terms of I'm reading it. A modder created a hardcore mod for Morrowind, made all sorts of changes to weapons and items, making them more useful, and removing a lot of the exploits that people have leaned on for years. So you can't just go to like your 3 favorite spots, get a Daedric Daikatana, fucking summon and then soul capture your own golden saint, apply like some stupid enchantment to your sword, and literally one-shot the rest of the game from level 2. You can't do that shit anymore in this mod. They've made huge sweeping changes in terms of where stuff even drops at certain levels, and it completely changes the game entirely, and it makes shit like that shitty, fire enchanted cheating dagger that you find in like Balmora early game that you wouldn't even try to waste on a rat. You wouldn't even use that in the old game. Now all of a sudden that shit's looking good. And you'll actually make use of stuff again. And that like weird ring that does 5 points of fire damage. Yeah, that's also useful now. So
awesome,
I just thought it was cool.
Jeff, I have a question.
Awesome. Yeah.
What year is it?
Yeah, zero fucks given here.
It's 2018. We just talked about emulating old games. I think it somehow makes sense. James Gunn got fired from Guardians of the Galaxy director role after, in 2009, he made some seriously kind of questionable jokes, even for 2009. But motherfucker, it was a decade ago, and this guy got removed after doing a killer job and not opening his mouth even a little bit out of line on social media for so much time. And then they come in and they fucking they dig up the shit, they send it to Disney, and somebody at Disney, loses their shit and says, I wouldn't be able to sleep if, we didn't just fire this guy. And so here we are, despite the fact that there's been a petition with 200 and some thousand people sign it to bring him back. And despite the fact that people within the movies, the actors are like, guys, stupid. The guy's a great man. He's not a pedophile. He's not a racist.
You can't have it both ways, though. This is the exact byproduct of the type of society and social discourse we, as people, have been promoting over the past couple of years. What you say can be weaponized to use against you. It doesn't matter when you said it or how you said it. If someone's got a cause against you, they will use it against you. And that's what happened to James Gunn. He's done a lot of off-color things. Doesn't necessarily mean he's a bad person. But we're at a point where if you say the wrong thing at the wrong time, the world will come down on you.
Well, here's the thing. He didn't actually say the wrong thing at the wrong time. He said the wrong thing.
Period.
9
years ago, right? And,
no. But what I'm saying is the mentality has been that if you've ever said something wrong, we're going to use it against you as a way to silence criticism or whatever. And it's been being used heavily on racism, social issues, and everything under the sun. So, it sucks that he got fired, but at the same time, if that's the bar that's been set across for holding people accountable for things, you can't apply it differently to different people.
Well,
sure you can.
So
I am a fucking manatee. All right.
Okay.
So
here's for those that don't know, because I probably know more about this than both of you combined, and probably a lot of people that are listening in this. So this is what happened.
Educate me, Jeff.
A bajillion years ago, all right, Gunn went out on Twitter and he was saying some really bad jokes, like some dark humor, some really bad stuff about fucking boys, some really weird shit. And I mean, you have to read the tweets to get the sort of the context of it. It's not as oh, I'd like to stick my fucking wang in a boy right now, but it was some very dark humor stuff. Also, James Gunn came from a different production company that was producing very crazy, outlandish films and really dark humor and
the story or whatever. And
yes, all those very weird, very, very weird shit.
It was Grindhouse movies.
Grindhouse movies. So
I know James Gunn.
This wasn't anything that was I should say out of the norm. In fact,
it was
a lot
normal
of people
for Grindhouse.
It was normal for Grindhouse, and back in the day, that was just how people. No, I shouldn't say how people talk because it is
how
disturbing,
you were edgy.
But yeah, it was it was okay to say some of those things without
comedians were saying some crazy shit in 2009.
Exactly. So, but here's the kicker. So Disney actually knew about all of this years ago,
they've seen his stuff.
And even before he did Guardians. Okay, so there is a petition about all of this stuff long before Disney hired him on. When he started to become big time, there were some haters out there that was this. Disney swept it under the rug and didn't and I actually think at one point they did mention it, but I could be, a source that I listened to that could be incorrect. But they definitely knew about it. And trust me, when Disney hires people, they do extensive, and I mean extensive, background checks on these people to make sure that they're not, you know, fucking crazy or whatever the case may be. But anywho, the reason why James Gunn got outed the way he did is because James Gunn is a very left-wing guy. Yeah. And he was going after Donald Trump like a motherfucker. And he was going on about Roseanne and the stuff that she was saying, along with guys like Mark Hamill, along with guys like Chris Evans, along with guys that are super left-wing dudes.
Some right-wing 4chan users.
That's literally it. Yeah. So the right-wing guys that wanted to get back at James Gunn, and it's a totally a political and a fucking gong show of a move, and so the right wings concocted another thing and dug up all these old tweets that wasn't even, and James Gunn deleted his entire shit years ago, like deleted everything.
Well, everything's archived.
Went and publicly apologized for the comments he made before, made amends with everybody. Everything was cool. Disney knew about it. They swept it under the rug. He changed completely as a person. He said he went through therapy, and the way, you know, he grew up, he's starting to get older. He realized that the jokes were not landing, and they just weren't, you know, they weren't politically correct. It wasn't funny. It was just offsetting. And he apologized for it, and everything was good. And anybody that has worked with James Gunn over the last like 8 years has said the guy has been nothing but a saint. He's a perfect person to work with. He creates awesome films. Hell, you have 90% of the Guardians of the Galaxy actors and actresses going out on Twitter and social media and Instagram fighting for James Gunn and saying that this is crazy. Like, this guy's, everybody that works with him is like, he's the nicest, warmest person that you could ever know. But fuck, when he was in his early 20s, he was saying some shit and he made amends for it, and everybody was cool. But the moment that he started attacking the right side and calling out Donald Trump on his obvious idiocy, the fact that he's a fucking moron, and calling out Roseanne and saying, and then the right wing is like, well, it's the same thing. If Roseanne can't say those, it's not the same thing. It's completely different. Sure, things are both disturbing, but one happened many moons ago when everybody wasn't walking on eggshells, and it was clearly a joke, and it was clearly dealt with when it was, and this was totally political. It was a total social move. And that's the reason why he got cut. And they made a big stink of it because everybody's so high and mighty about everybody's feelings these days. And the moment that Disney got put on hot fucking coals, they had no choice but to fire the guy because they didn't want the blowback. And that's it. And now you've got over 250,000 people going live saying, "What the fuck, dude? This guy's making you billions of dollars, and he's done nothing wrong. The actors are saying everything is cool, but
I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying, effectively, like, what happened to James Gunn is a product of the culture that has been fostered over the past couple of years. Now, if you look at it from the other side, again, I'm not placing emphasis or even judgment on any of the values that either side you want to divide it up, but it's effectively the same thing. When a racist or conservative or whoever, however you want to phrase it, says something off color that, you know, the other side doesn't like, they try to rain down fire and fury. And, you know, back in the day, there used to be civil discourse, but now it's like, no, I am going to try to fucking ruin you.
But what happens when comedians, why is it okay for Dave Chappelle to go on and call transvestites fucking, you know, whatever? Because he's a comedian.
No, that's what I'm saying.
He's got a wall pass, but yet he can sign a $60 million deal for 2 episodes with Netflix.
And on top of that,
I'm just saying it's an inconsistent situation. But
on top of that, he's black, so you can't go after a minority. You have to be careful. You have to go after. Yeah. Right now,
it's the minefield of PC-ness.
You gotta go after the white population as much as humanly possible right now. But you know, you know, you say that Disney didn't have a choice. I'm tired of giving companies that right away. They had a choice, and they made the demonstrably wrong one. By pretty much every account that you could possibly make. They wouldn't have lost a goddamn red cent if they kept him on and came out and defended him and said, look, guys, this shit happened 10 years ago. This stuff was done in context, humor. It's dark. You might not agree with it. And it might not,
and we don't agree with it.
And it might not conform with Disney's values right now, but guess what? Ever since we hired him, he has conformed to our values. And on top of that, he's already addressed all the shit that you fucking crazy bastards are digging up on the dark web of the fucking internet to try and get him fired. And then done.
And it's done.
Instead, they perpetuate this insanity, this character assassination game, whereby everyone and anyone can be taken down from any height of any period of time of career. You're talking about people that could be 30, 40 years into a fucking illustrious career that has barely done anything wrong by anyone. And if they had done some tiny little fucking thing that they've already dealt with, it's already been addressed, but it's been forgotten by the public, and now there's a bunch of 20-something-year-olds that don't even know about it, and you bring that shit up, and it's a witch hunt, then they ruin their entire fucking career. We don't look at the rest of this person's life. We don't look at whether or not they've atoned for it and apologized and moved on from it. We don't actually use any context at all. It happened. It doesn't matter the context in which it happened. All I know is that I'm upset either for myself or I'm upset for somebody else who probably isn't even upset about this in the first place. Fuck them. Take them down. Ruin their lives. Dox them. Tell everyone where they live, how much money they make, get them out of their jobs, have them working at McDonald's for the rest of their fucking lives. Maybe they'll kill themselves and we'll get a laugh out of it. That's where we're at right now, and it's horseshit. It's absolute horseshit. And the scary thing is, this is being perpetuated and induced by a tiny fucking fraction of the population, and companies are folding. The companies are the problem. If the companies stood up for this shit, then the small people would shut the fuck up because they're not going anywhere. Imagine when you were back in school and you're watching kids cave into everything that the bully with the small dick was going around taking lunch money, and they just kept falling down. What does the bully do? He comes back. He gets your lunch money the next day, and the next day, and the fucking next day, until you're 3 years deep and you haven't had a lunch and you're anorexic and you look like you just came out of fucking Ethiopia. And instead, the people that stand up, and you see like that video of that like bigger kid body slam the fuck out of his bully, dropped his ass on his head like he was Lil Wayne trying to keep up with Eminem, and he's out there fucking doing it, and that bully stopped fucking instantaneously. You know why? Because he got stood up to. Full stop. And you're gonna fall down and roll over and blow a bunch of middle-aged fuckboy right-wing extremists who are out to do literally nothing but just try and perpetuate some fuckery. And you're gonna do it, and you're gonna do it because you think you're a family company? Come on, fuck yourself. You had a choice, you made the wrong one, bring the guy back, it's not gonna happen. But fucking stand up to this shit. I don't actually blame the people doing it. They're lost causes. They're all insane. They should be in an asylum, tied up in a white jacket with a padded fucking 4-cell wall and fed fucking bread and water for the rest of their lives. I don't fucking care about those people. They can do... The world is dark and full of fucking retards. It's just the way that it's been now, the way it's always been. The internet's just making it easier for them to find themselves and actually wield some power to a bunch of weak-minded fucking idiots that run these major companies. I don't blame them. I blame the companies who folded them, because ultimately that's where the buck stops. It's not the guys yelling into the void on the internet. It's when somebody up in Disney or up in up in fucking ArenaNet or up in any of these cases of people doing and saying crazy shit ages ago, or that shouldn't be a situation of being fired. Them dropping the hammer and saying, "Oh, we're so sorry, guys. Please stop blasting us on Twitter." Like, fuck off. You're the problem, not just a bunch of little, like, people, you know, screaming, like I said, into the void. It's fucking crazy. So I feel for James Gunn. I hope he does well. I'm sure other people are going to pick him up. He's going to make other companies billions of dollars.
He'll be fine.
And it is what it is. But I
feel for him, though. And it sucks for the franchise of Guardians of the Galaxy, but it is what it is. Lastly, in movies, and then we'll move on.
Sean Gunn pick it up.
Lastly is Mission Impossible comes out today. I'm going to go see it tomorrow. And apparently it's the best Mission Impossible ever. It's like a 98 on Rotten Tomatoes, and apparently it's like transformative. It's basically like a Christopher Nolan movie on coke. So I can't wait to go see it. Apparently it's amazing.
Jeff, hit me up with the sound of tech support.
Tech support. I've literally got 8 minutes.
Yep. I haven't looked at any of these questions yet, so I'm trying to figure out. Here we go. Chico. $1,450 lifetime because he's a fucking god. If you could change one part of your body other than making your trouser snake bigger, fair ball, what would it be? I'm gonna go with take a good 3 inches off my legs so I can buy some fucking jeans. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm okay with 6'3". I don't need to be 6'6". That shit's fucked up. Make me 6'3" and let me go into the friggin' Gap and buy some overpriced jeans with holes in it. That's what I want.
You don't like capris?
Not really. I don't want to show my ankles off. I'm not a fucking harlot.
I would,
you go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would change my genetics so that my fat would not stay on my belly. It would be more evenly distributed.
You and
my legs are toned right now.
90% of the human population.
Yeah, man. I'll go with the 90%. They got the right idea.
I'm gonna go with being able to grow a full-blown beard. So, like, you know, being able to grow
like if I could move what's down here.
Yeah.
If I could just take like in a game and just shift the texture up.
Just
I actually have to
an inch.
I
don't need a beard down here.
Well,
I don't need
to shave this.
That's what I get low. You can see it. It goes all the way down to there, but I can't, like, I can grow like this little tiny, like, mini strip, and then there's a gap here. I'd like to be able to get the whole thing going. I just can't do it. Can't do it.
Yeah, like mine just grows all the way like up to. Oh, there's that picture we have with like when my beard was like all luscious and full from when you came to visit New York.
Yeah,
I'm gonna actually find that and put that in chat.
Yeah, it was.
Gotta grow that beard back out. Except then people
fire beard.
I've been having trouble with it.
Back to your country.
Like, well, that too. But no, it's like my beard started graying in areas, and it's like full on gray in certain parts, so I trim it down.
Yeah, that's perfectly fair. Perfectly fair. What did Black Jimmy? $5.25 lifetime, current $100 pledge because he's got.
Sweet mother of God.
What is something inconsequential that people do that irks you for no reason? So basically, what's a pet peeve that other people do? Just something small that other people do.
Definitely for me is scrape their cutlery on plates. That shit fucking drives me nuts. And I don't even need to know them, like, at all. And I'll tell them, whoa, easy, bro. Like, I'm like, it aggravates me. Like, usually you let shit slide for people because you're like, all right, I don't know them. I could, like, know you for 2 seconds, and if you're scraping your cutlery on your plate, I will tell you. Can you not do that?
That's perfectly fair.
If you're one of them jackasses that will stand on the left side of an escalator.
Yeah.
Especially when someone's standing to the right of you.
That's pretty bad. I'll go with two quick ones. One, when you're on a highway, or not on a highway, but just like a, let's say well, yeah, we'll call it a highway. And you're already doing like a little bit above the speed limit as you know, like most normal people do because you got places to go. And somebody passes you doing like, I don't know, 5 kilometers an hour faster than you're driving. So it takes them a while to get past you. They still manage to find a way to cut you off because they decide that once they're like 3 feet out in front of you, it's okay to make the change and get back over to your lane. And then they take the next exit 14 feet ahead of them.
Yeah.
So that shit drives me fucking wild. And then outside of vehicles, I'm going to go with I hate passive aggressiveness like nobody's business. I want to slap somebody in the mouth every time I get passive aggressive. From anyone. It's mostly women that does that shit, but I know lots of guys that do it too. You get a problem with what I'm doing, I want you to tell me. I want you to tell me. And odds are, I'm going to stop doing that. I'm going to apologize for it, and I'm going to stop doing it. But don't be passive-aggressive about it and expect me to pick up on your fucking, like, kung fu mind-trick signals and then just stop doing it or change it. That shit drives me wild. Just be straightforward. Stop with the bullshit. Nobody's got time for that these days.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Nobody's got time for that shit. Did you guys... Jetrix... $6,850. Yep. Did you guys ever get a chance to discuss Lord of War? I don't know if we did, but I did eventually watch it. It is a good movie, one of Nicolas Cage's best movies, and it's just very interesting that it's based in reality as much as it is.
Jared Leto doesn't suck ass in.
I've never seen it, so I can't say.
You should watch it.
It's pretty good.
You'd enjoy it.
It's an interesting. It's an interesting film. It's
almost not a crazy Nick Cage movie.
It's almost done in like a pseudo documentary style. It's kind of interesting in the way that they did it.
I did watch Dread again after we talked about it.
Ooh, yeah. Does it hold up?
Yeah, man. I watched it. I'm like, it's actually better than the first time I saw it.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Smash Bop. $12.50 lifetime, $12.50 current pledge. Shoutouts for the most random number I've seen to date.
Hey, we'll take it. We'll take it, man. Thank you so much.
I'm liking that extra 50 cents. What is the smallest decision you've made that ended up having a huge impact on your life? I'm going to go with, I can still remember it clear as day. I was 11 years old sitting in the dentist chair, and the dentist said, your son's going to need braces for straight teeth. And my parents looked at me and said, do you want braces? And I said, no. Because I was 11 years old, and what 11-year-old goes, yeah, give me the braces. So that was a poor life choice, and I still hate my parents for not just forcing that shit on me. Just, you know, that would have been...
I'm on my second round of braces right now, so...
Because now I gotta pay out of pocket, it's like $6 grand. I don't got that kind of fucking money. Just, you know, come on. Well, with my kids, they got a choice. There's no question in the chair.
Braces, motherfuckers.
You don't get a question. The dentist asked the children, do you want braces? I say, what are you asking them for? Look over here.
Luckily, within that time, technology will be so good, they'll probably just fucking give them teeth.
Rip the teeth out and just put posts in with porcelain veneers. Let's go. Let's go. Get it over with now. But yeah, I'm going to say that's my my smallest that turned into a expensive mistake.
Man, I don't know. I actually just don't know.
It's like a hard one to quantify.
Yeah, because like a very small decision. Like
you don't look back on it. You look back based on the impact that decision had. You don't like think about it like you say, "Oh wow, that had a huge impact on my life."
Yeah, you no longer think about it as a small decision. Choice. You look back and go, I fucked up. None of us have any illegitimate children, so we avoided that.
No. I don't know, man. Like small decisions, like, dude, I don't know. Like that impacted. There's only a few things that I believe like really impacted my life, but you know, one of them was asking Adam to do a YouTube channel. I mean, that was a pretty small, a very small thing that I was for fun that I had no fucking.
Adam is going to be laughing like that for the next 7 hours, and then he's just going to be like, "I hate you."
Know, that's definitely probably one. I would probably say that's one of the smaller, impactful things ever that I've done because it wasn't meant to be anything more than just fucking around.
I would say me going to IEM at Comic-Con in 2012. I went on a total lark just because I was able to get a ticket, and I did some photography there. And by fluke, I ran into a couple of like people who are now my best friends. Got super into photography. They've been to about 60 more conventions and just done a ton of stuff. So I'd say maybe that one because I went totally on a lark. Someone's like, "You want to go?" I'm like,
everything happens for a reason.
Got nothing going on. I'll go.
Last one. Will Hawkins, $80 lifetime, $10 current. Said, kind of morbid, but what do you think is the worst way to accidentally die?
Falling into a wood chipper.
Oh! Fuck! Or like an industrial shredder.
Have you seen Fargo? Hey there.
Oh
what you doing there with your bud?
God, I watched somebody put a camera inside an industrial shredder, like the big ass teeth that like fold in on top of each other, and all I could run through my mind was "fuck me" if you put your foot.
Have you ever watched that movie Mannequin? They have an industrial shredder, and the guy like falls in when he gets turned into a mannequin.
God, that's so bad.
I'm gonna go into the industrial shredder.
I'm going with industrial shredder. Horrific accident. Which really, most of those are hidden behind like 14 feet of tubes, so you have to actually go out of your way to get fucked by one. But
Someone in chat just had a really good one.
Autoerotic asphyxiation. That's
David
the way.
Carradine, way to go.
Yeah. Strangling my own throat masturbating, as Eminem once said. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for the Technical Alpha podcast. We got to get out of here. Jeff and I have to talk about some stuff. I have to edit some podcast stuff and then get to sleep and then go enjoy not looking at a computer screen for a couple of days. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Here's a end screen with out of date names on it. I'm going to go and get the real list. Not yet.
I know.
All right, as always, shout outs to Jetrix, Postal Panda, Matt M, Chico, Toad of Steel, Black Jimmy, Jamaica Jazz, Adam B, Derek P, and Martin for being heroes, and a whole host of other people, Mr. Miyagi, Soft Shoe. You guys know, there's a whole whack. You fucking know who you are. You're a bunch of gods. Every single fucking one of you. You're legends.
Thank you. You guys keep it going, man. You guys keep the show going.
Keep the dream alive. We will be back next week, same time, same place.
We got back over $3,000 on Patreon.
We did.
I know the Patreon who did it because he was the one that I tweeted you about. We were doing D&D last night.
Let's go.
Awesome,
Sam,
dude.
he was just holy shit, I'm going to contribute right now.
Can I be completely honest with you guys? I looked at that number and I actually thought we went down because it was so close to just 3K even, and I forgot that we had dropped below.
Yeah, no, I think we were like $50 below ish, and now we're $8 up. So
let's go.
Thank you, Panic's friend.
Let's go. Shout out to Panic's D&D friend.
Dude, he loves you too. He
set him on fire
when he found out. He was ranting and raving about how much he loves you guys.
Well, we love him right back, man.
Yeah,
we
do.
Really do appreciate it, and everybody that supports the podcast.
He met you guys in Anaheim.
Oh, awesome. Well, there you go. Yeah, we thank you all so much. We're still going strong long after a year now. We're just gonna keep this. We're just gonna keep this shit going. This is where we talk the shit, and you guys show up and
keep the dream alive.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Thank you once again, and until we do see you, peace. Peace.
Bye.